let's go.
Bored no more.
All right. Welcome, my dear friends. My name, as always, it has not changed, and I don't think it will be changing for a while, is Mano. Ilya, riding with me shotgun, is the wonderful, magnificent, and most excellent Vany, Manny Vanamides. What's up, guy?
Nothing much. How's everyone doing?
Hope everyone's doing fine. We're trying out some new gear. So Manny's got a new headset thing going. We're going to try to see if this goes nice and smoothly. I got a new little small portable mixing board thing, so we got it for getting ready for Texas and getting on the road and podcasting from the road. Who knows? Maybe more than just Texas one day. All right, this is Bored No More. For those of you guys who don't know what Bored No More is, it is a network, predominantly Orthodox content network, very similar to Much Music, very similar to MTV, but the difference is we re-engineer their social engineering, and because they jam a bunch of information, a bunch of different content, whether it be music, whether it be books, whether it be TV shows that may not be good for your soul, may not be good for your mind. We try to provide you guys with content that is good for your soul, that is good for your mind, whether it be music, whether it be comedy, whether it be information, or a conversation. Because when you're bored, idle hands, baby. When you're bored, that's when the great deceiver has the opportunity to creep on into your skull, creep on into your soul, and confuse you. You might be like, well, I'm a little bit bored. I got a few minutes. I'm just going to scroll on this thing right here. And all of a sudden you start scrolling and you're like, ha, 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 that's funny. That's interesting. And then a few minutes later, because of your boredom, because you're attached to the these gidgy-gadgies, all of a sudden, boom, you're down this rabbit hole of crazy stuff. So bored no more, baby. We hope we can unbore you. Maybe we might bore you. Who knows? Manny is smiling. That means there's some awesome stuff going on in the chats. Let me say hello to everybody in the chats. I'll give you the rundown of today's show, and we'll bring up our very first segment. Big shout outs to my boy Daniel. What up, cuz? Moldy Apples, Nadim. Hello. Thank you. Who else we got? We got Nadim's who said hello. We said hello to Daniel. Alexander, hola, my dear brother, my dear friend. Denise, how is Denise? Christina, Orthodox Family Life. Hello. Benjamin, what's going down? Anybody else is in the chats? I'll say hello as I see your name popping up because of the technologies. You know, they're popping up on the sides. All right, today's rundown. First, we're starting off with one of our most requested friends and guests, Orthodox Outcast. Our dear friend Kevin Seraphim Clay is here, Orthodox Outcast. A lot of you guys have asked me to bring him back on. I've wanted to for a while. Anyways, today we'll be doing a segment, and then we're going to be talking to Orthodox Outcast to do a proper interview down the road, because I think we have a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up. Anyone that tunes into SOS Radio knows that I am a fan of his music and knows we spin it often. And man, he can't even keep up. He just pumps it out so much and so heavy. It's great content. So we're going to be talking to our dear friend Orthodox Outcast. After that, we'll be talking to our dear friend from Orthodox Review, Raphael, back by popular demand. Love that dude. Also have to get him on for a proper interview. We got to break it down, but he'll be doing an awesome segment today on addiction. That's one way once you get bored. You know what I mean? It's very easy to go down the road of addiction. Then we have our dear friend, Mr. Wesford, coming on for some amazing stuff. Mr. Wesford Reports. That should be exciting. Trying to you'll see. And after that, we're going to do an SOS Radio, maybe Jabberfest. Who knows? I have a couple things in mind. So sit down, get ready for this amazing ride we have for you. We're going to bring on our dear friend, Orthodox Outcast, but Manny, set it up this way. Whatever you got in store, because Manny's behind the controls, he's got a bunch of stuff in store. Whatever you're going to fill in between this and that, then start off with the clip of our dear friend Orthodox Outcast breaking down grunge and all that, and how it it relates to orthodoxy and stuff like that. And we're gonna move into the new conversation that we're gonna have today. And I hope that's okay with you, Orthodox Outcast. We're gonna start off with he gave me a thumbs up. Our dear friend, I see him. I see his beautiful, lovely face. Can't wait to speak with him. All right, Manny, roll it.
We're gonna hit him with a thing, and then we're gonna roll a clip.
What's happening, man? What's happening? What's happening?
Bored no more.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
This is the Bored No More Network. Bored No More.
What's happening? Yeah, shout outs to Steph for that amazing splash. Hit it, Manny.
Just kind of remains punk rock. But starting with Trauma or something like that actually is, it's kind of funny actually.
That's really where we come from. It's like no bullshit, no facade, no playing games. Let's just get to the serious stuff.
I mean, if you've been a part of subculture punk, there's a paradox there. There's a lot of humor and there's a lot of kind of self-deprecating type of comedy that comes out of that seriousness. But trying to stick to this punk narrative, it's just trying to preserve a narrative, God's revelation to man. Unfortunately, there were deviations. Orthodoxy, in that sense, just kind of remains punk rock. I think that orthodoxy, as it's kind of having its moment, you could maybe even say it's sort of Nirvana moment, like when Nevermind broke. People now are finding about music that has existed for a long time. There were a whole scene in bands and great music, an ideology, a worldview, a lifestyle, obviously a fashion. But then it became the most popular thing in the world. It was in the malls. Orthodoxy is kind of at that moment right now where Smells Like Teen Spirit was just put on MTV. Orthodoxy in America was an unknown form of Christianity. It's kind of existed as a subculture. Punk, metal, hardcore, alternative. Why are they drawn to orthodoxy? I think it kind of makes perfect sense if you understand punk subculture. Defines kind of the punk rock ethic as authenticity. Yes. And so the antithesis of that is the poser. Yes, ethical kind of battle within punk was authenticity versus being fake. Let's just say orthodoxy is going to follow punk. Then whatever is happening right now, hopefully it will have a lasting effect. What I foresee is a very similar thing that happened to the grunge movement. I mean, the very person, Kurt Cobain, who was instrumental in kind of making it happen, he committed suicide a few years later. It lasted 3 years. I see a lot of similarities. Or what potentially could happen is that there's this kind of nevermind moment. It's cool to be orthodox. In 3 years, it's going to commit suicide.
My dear friend, how are you, sir? How are you? Welcome to the show. Let's do you too, my friend. Let's get a good sound check for Orthodox Outcast, Manny. Do the hellos.
Hello.
How's that sound, Manny? Sounds good, Manny.
I'm good.
How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always. And we're going to definitely set up a proper long-form interview. But today, what do you got for us? I like the concept and idea of what you had pitched to me. And I was like, okay, let's go with this. So do you want to set it up or do you want me to set it up?
Why don't you set it up? Yeah, here it is.
Okay, so we were chatting offline privately, and we were talking about the last time Orthodox Outcast was on, and you did that clip you just saw, kind of broke it down really well.
Right.
We made a comparison with grunge, its original underground appeal, and then how it kind of became a little bit more inflated, a little bit more mainstream, and it led to the destruction of that quote-unquote movement. And there are some similarities with online orthodoxy. So we had a deep discussion on that subject. Orthodox Outcast, I'm not just saying because he's in front of me. He did a magnificent job both breaking it down intellectually, poetically, from the heart. And he made a lot of great connections to our faith. And you brought up a lot of things that made me think. So then Orthodox Outcast suggested that we do a continuation of that and kind of see that that possibly, I call it the Britpop theory, Orthodox Britpop theory, that possibly the Britpop was the antithesis to grunge. Would you say did I describe that properly?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, if you look even at the history, when grunge happened. I mean, it took over the whole world, but there was one place where it really didn't stick as much, and that was in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And even that style of music and the whole ethic and ethos and everything about it, it just really didn't connect, to the UK and this or that. I mean, even before Britpop, there was shoegaze was happening,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and dream pop and stuff like that, and then the whole Creation Records kind of,
Yep.
revolution, stuff like that. And what's interesting, I actually kind of looked up the dates of when Kurt died. 6 days later, Oasis releases their first single.
That's right.
They released another single after that, and then Live Forever was released in August, and then the album later that month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of an interesting kind of coincidence that you almost see this kind of changing sort of the guard, and it's kind of another British invasion.
Yep.
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 And so I don't know. Yeah, I really think that this kind of well, it's like what we were calling punk, kind of out in the 90s. We kind of called it grunge and this or that. It's basically like a subculture kind of mentality, this kind of rebellion against the mainstream, and it just criticizes everything that's popular and this or that. And it does it from the comfort of an unknown subculture, and you're just around all your friends and everyone agrees with everyone.
Yep.
And what happened, even watching that clip again, some people would think, well, what was wrong is that it became popular and it became mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't agree with that. I think the issue of why punk, through grunge, sort of, as I said, kind of, imploded and kind of, faded out is because when it became popular, when it became, when these people, were given a microphone in front of them saying, okay, now that you've got stage, now you've got an audience, what do you have to say? And what it reveals is they didn't really have that much to say.
True. Very true.
All they had was criticism. They defined themselves by what they weren't. They didn't really know who they were.
Yes.
They just kind of picked on the mainstream and pop, radio, and MTV for that. I mean, they overlooked that actually there was a lot of really cool music in the mainstream, like Europe, stuff like that.
Yep.
But they just had this mentality that, oh, if it's popular, then it's bad.
True.
And then
Very
they
true.
become popular. And I don't think that's what destroyed it. I think what it did was that it revealed that it really didn't have any substance.
That's a really good point, actually. That's very true. That is very, very true. And I remember some of the old school punks and like, I guess the pioneers of alternative music, quote unquote, did comment on that. Like Morrissey commented on it. Henry Rollins commented on it. Like there wasn't a real message behind it other than just blank hatred. So that's a great point.
Yeah. And I think, in expanding that concept, it could apply to anything. If all you have is criticisms, but you don't have any solutions, I mean, there's a place for that. It provides some sort of service, you could say, that maybe you're the prophet that's pointing out something that no one else sees.
Yep.
But where's the priest that comes in and sanctifies it?
That's a good point. Good way of putting it.
And that, I think, is the problem. And I think that's the tendency. I mean, if we, before we look at like orthodoxy and this recent wave, Chesterton even talked about that with the Protestant Reformation.
Mm-hmm.
It had great criticisms that they weren't wrong about what was wrong, with Roman Catholicism and the papacy at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that even the Catholic Church disagreed, with the criticism.
Yep.
And that's why they had the Counter-Reformation and the Council of Trent, this or that, and kind of, defined things like that. But the criticism that Chesterton points out about Protestantism is it had this criticism, but it didn't provide any solutions. It didn't solve the problems. It kind of made things worse,
True.
No, that's not the takeaway from the great things that Protestantism brings. It's most importantly a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, which is to me the great gift of Protestantism. But in what it criticized, it didn't provide a solution. And I think that's just the danger, within Orthodoxy and this or that, this tendency to define itself by it not being Western or Latin or Catholic or Protestant, or defining Orthodoxy in light of, geopolitical situations. And, I don't like to use the word conspiracy theories or conspiracy truth, would be maybe a way to put it, because there are conspiracies,
Oh yeah.
and but to reduce, Orthodox Christianity to that is to strip it of what's most important, and
Yes.
that is of Christ and his revelation to man,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea that Christ can restore man to his original purpose to be like God,
Yep. Yep.
And so if one is only defining itself by what it's not, then how can it be what it's supposed to be? It can't, because it doesn't know what it is. Right.
I like this. I like where you're going with this. Keep going. This is great.
And so man, because being created in the image of Christ, after the fall retains the image but loses the likeness.
Mm-hmm.
But Christ reveals man, to man himself through the incarnation,
Mm-hmm.
and then gives man the ability to be restored and redeemed and to reclaim that likeness. Now, it's not a one-time event,
Yep.
feel like, the sinner's prayer or even our baptism or chrismation or this or that. It's an ongoing process until the end of our life.
Yep.
But from the incarnation all the way through the crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension, Christ has redeemed not just man, but the world, and that recreation has begun. And that, that's the Christian story. So the question would be, what in the world does it have to do with grunge and Oasis, right?
Yeah. This is.
And, and I love the example because it's pretty absurd, to claim that Oasis is kind of the voice of God, and they bring the gospel, the good news. But in some way, I mean, I actually think there's a lot of truth to that, but I think that's also, God has done that throughout human history,
Mm-hmm.
or what we call salvation history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, read the Old Testament, read, the archetype of the church, through the people, of God in the nation of Israel and this or that. I mean, they're constantly failing and breaking God's commandments. And there's just, this horrendous stories, right? As the great, like Frankie Schaefer said, if the Bible was made into a movie, it'd be rated X,
Yes.
And even the New Testament, as we kind of look through some sort of like even proper historical critical framework, it's not self-evident what the scriptures mean.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It's kind of a mess, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the heroes committed some pretty horrendous sins.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's not, and the theology is not self-evident and clear. It's messy, to say the least. But God, I think, delights that. I think that's sort of his icon. That's his veil. He wants to reveal himself through these people and situations and examples that on the surface people would reject.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
Mm-hmm.
taught through parables, and he liked to pick really offensive characters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
To say these are the good guys, and it offended people because, like, no, those are the bad guys. And because he just really wants to see, are you just judging on the surface, or are you able to see, like grace, through faith, something behind that?
Mm-hmm.
That's how God chooses to reveal himself. He does. It's rarely it's like out in the open and clear, right? It's usually veiled. And so in this sense, Oasis is this icon, this.
Sorry to interrupt you in there, and to make your comparison, and not to make biblical comparisons here on my behalf. I'll let you do it. Would you say Stone Roses was the Old Testament?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're kind of. Yeah, or maybe I don't know. Maybe they're the. Maybe the Old Testament prophet. Maybe they're John the Baptist. They're like the bridge between the Old new.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. You were on a flow. I made a dad joke there. I just had to throw that in there.
It's actually really good. No, it's excellent because, yeah, when you see Liam, and then you kind of go, oh wait, I've seen this before, or you know,
Yeah.
and you know, he really adopted a lot of that look and feel and the walk and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, and so Oasis, you know, and through their whole even worldview and perspective, you know, and they've talked about this openly. So it's not, in one sense, yeah, it is my Britpop theory, but in some ways, it's not like I came up with it. You know, it's just that they've talked about that, and in particular, the song, you know, "Live Forever."
Mm-hmm.
There's different accounts of what the song's about, but you know, Noel and Liam have both talked about it. It was a response to Kurt Cobain and this, you know, I hate myself and I want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, I want to live forever.
Yep.
And they, they kind of praise, you know, the album and the music and some of it, but this whole worldview that they saw epitomized in, you know, through grunge, Pearl Jam, and you know, the Seattle scene and this or that. They just saw all this just unhappiness and bitterness and negativity.
Yes.
And
yep.
a lot of kind of like suicidal language, you know.
Yep.
And it's just not really, you know, an English sort of kind of spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, you know, obviously they don't embody, you know, the pure Christian message and lifestyle.
No.
But in this sense of kind of being, you know, the crazy character that Jesus loved to kind of use in his parables, I think they fit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, no, life is a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
The world is worth living for. And we need to fight against, you know, the difficulties, the sufferings, you know, the traumas of our lives. And we need to push through that. And we do that not by identifying with it, you know. And I'm even speaking to myself and how it happened, you know, to me and what I'm still trying to fight my way out of. It's like identifying with the abuse, or identifying with the trauma, identifying with the sickness.
Yes.
That is the sickness.
Yes. I like this. I like what you're doing with this.
They were actually fairly articulate about that. It's like, this is not how we approach life. And what's interesting, I don't know if you know about their home life. Their dad was very abusive. I mean,
yes,
almost killed Noel on multiple occasions, and his mother and his dad. I think his older brother. I think Liam was the only one that really didn't get the physical abuse.
Yeah, because it
wasn't to the point until Noel told his mother, he goes, unless you take us and leave, I will kill him.
Yep. I remember that in a documentary I saw, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's really dark. I mean, the violence was, it wasn't just kind of like over spanking. I mean, it was insane.
Yep.
Okay, and this is the man. I mean, he has every reason. I would probably, knowing, you know, Kurt's life and Noel's life, I mean, Noel has more of a reason to sing Nirvana songs.
Yes, that's very true. Very, very true.
I mean, Kurt went through some stuff, but I don't know of anything like that. I think he didn't fit in, and he didn't like that, and he was insecure, and so he kind of became sort of burnout, this or that, and then he becomes famous, and that's his story. I mean, Noel has every reason in the world to be writing and singing those songs, and he said, no, I'm not going to do that.
That's a good point.
I'm going to be positive about this, and he's talked about it. He says that's what the song's about. It's an anthem, not just in response to Kurt, but it's to the world to say, listen, no matter what you've gone through, you've got to.
I'm gonna. Do you mind if I just jump in there, because you really got me thinking? This is a great comparison, by the way. I love this. There's a couple other things to point out that are very similar. They both grew up. Kurt grew up in Seattle, which is a very a lot of cloud, a lot of depression because of the environment. Same thing with the UK. They have the same sort of environment, and the drugs were very different too. The drugs that they used were very different, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But you are correct. Kurt Cobain's life, for the most part, he said everything was kind of fine up until his parents separated, and after that, he was just kind of like, "Woe is me." He took a "woe is me" approach, and everything you said earlier, to build on that, yes, it was all about complaining about what he didn't like, whether it was in the media or this and that, but he didn't really do much to change it. I never thought about it this way. And yes, I remember watching a couple of documentaries on Oasis, and the Gallagher brothers really had it rough, especially Noel, of course. Yeah, that's an interesting point you make there. They took two different approaches. So I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just wanted to really shine light on that for the audience, for some of the people that don't know those two stories, the similarities and yet the contrast. And you are right. Noel had far more reason to write Nirvana songs rather than the other way around. So keep going. I just wanted to make that clear for the audience.
Yeah, and so to correlate that back to Christianity, I mean, it's become self-evident at that point. I mean, in this kind of strange, example, they really epitomize more of the true Christian message. Mm-hmm. That the gospel is the good news, right? And that good news is the cross. Like, it's through the cross. It's not like, hey, here's the good news. You don't have to suffer as Jesus did. It's like, no, you still are going to suffer. But because Christ suffered, that when you suffer, you can suffer with Christ if you unite your sufferings with his suffering. He's already overcome it. He's overcome death. He's overcome the cross. So when we suffer, all we have to do is consciously, in a prayerful spirit, say, I unite the suffering with your suffering. Now
that's
you
helpful.
Transform it.
That's helpful.
Because it's already done. That's it's finished.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we won't suffer.
Mm-hmm.
We will suffer.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like anything's changed in the world, but he has overcome everything. Mm-hmm. That has to play out, and it's not obvious, and so that's part of the mystery. It's part of the veil. But what's really happening, the redemption, is happening if you've got the eyes of faith to see it. And you really don't see it until you experience it. Yeah. So when you come into communion with Christ, I mean, there's grace everywhere, but there's a deepening of grace where it more than sustains life and helps you, in your life. It can truly transform you from the inside out. Mm-hmm. But it's through the cross, that's for sure. So that's what all our sufferings, that's how we're supposed to see them. It's kind of a cliche, but oh, it's my cross, whatever. But on a deep level, that's the right response. Yep. If we have a proper understanding of what the cross is.
Explain that a bit, because I need to hear this right now. So go for it.
On the surface, it's an instrument of torture and execution. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't have faith, you'd go, somebody just got killed. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's terrible. And if you thought he was guilty, I guess he deserved it. If you're like, oh, that guy was innocent, man, that's terrible. That's not what's happening. As some have said, it may be a little cheesy or this or that, but it's kind of powerful. It's not the nails that held Christ to the cross. It was his love. And it is true. It's an old kind of youth group or a preacher cliche, but even if you were the only person on earth, Jesus would have went through that for you. And so no matter what you're going through, unite that to Christ on the cross, because he's there for you. And that's the transformation that takes place. And that's the eternal life. That's the live forever that Noel is singing about, whether he realizes it or not. But it's up to us. Christ did everything that he can do, but he can't do it for us. That's our cooperation. We have to choose, right? Yep. And we have to make that statement. Now, this isn't just always in an instant, and that's another kind of problem with it, kind of, to be a little critical, shallow, oversimplistic kind of, Protestant faith, that wants to reduce that. Like, you can't ever say a negative word, right? Or bad confession, or, if you ever accept, feel sad or upset that you don't have faith. That's not true. Mm-hmm. I mean, read the Psalms. I mean, we're supposed to be praying them every single day. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of complaining, right? There's a lot of wallowing. Yep. And there's a lot of questioning God in that. God wants that. He wants that kind of love that we're willing to fight with God. He can take it, because he's not threatened by that, but that's us acting out our God image. So we may go through, we experience things. We may go through not just days; it could be months or years of intense suffering. And we may go, where is God? We may not be happy with him. We may, whatever it is. The issue is, at some point, we have to come out of that. And that's the difference. And that is where Kurt or Nirvana or grunge, and that kind of music and that kind of art has its place. Because it's the lamentations, right? It's the darkness. It's the dark night, right? And that's actually what salvation history is all about. It needed to go that dark for that long.
Yeah.
God knew the perfect time.
Yep.
So it had to go for a while.
Yep.
And then that even moment of silence from the prophets, right? There was this lull, and then Christ appears. So even in our lives, we may have a long period of time where we really are in the darkness. The difference is, what do we do at that particular moment that really only God knows is that perfect time? Do we kill ourselves, one way or another? Do we engage in self-destructive behavior?
Yep. Self-destructive
kind of thoughts, and and get into this really negative spirit where it's just really just toxic. We only see the negative, and we can do that, with kind of looking at politics, everything through a political lens and this or that. And sure, maybe we get whatever pill, whatever, and we're seeing certain things other people wouldn't see, but that's a very dangerous place. Because all you're doing is now seeing how dark it is.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
What really matters is, do you have that kind of null moment where you go, no, I'm not going to hate myself, and I don't want to die. I want to live forever. And it's the power of true love that comes through Christ, through his love.
That's really well put.
There's the Oasis gospel.
That is really, really well put. I wasn't sure how you were going to take this, like in what direction, which is why I didn't want to talk to you about it privately. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see where this goes on air, right?
That was good. I had no idea what I was going to say.
and that actually is a big part of what I like to do. Even when we prepare for the show, we used to prepare a lot more. Now we just prepare all the images and all that. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. I just go. And I'm trying to set my guests up that way. I think I saw Father Christopher in the chats. I did that to him a couple times in our interview, and it usually gets the best out of someone, right? Where I'm going with this little thing that I'm going to say here is that, yes, of course, I grew up in that era, so of course I knew that the Britpop thing was described as the antithesis to punk, and it was in a bunch of documentaries. But I'm like, I want to see, because that's why I called it your Britpop theory, because I wanted to see how you were going to connect orthodoxy to it. And I was also going to get to, I wanted to see, are you going to make me appreciate Oasis a bit more than I may or may not, right? I was like, I'm not going to even tell him what my opinion is, right? Because like, you don't exactly know whether I like or dislike, or I'm in the middle when it comes to Oasis. I kind of didn't reveal that. So I was like, okay, where's he going to take this? Is he going to guide me somewhere? And you really did. Like, you made a lot of great points there. And for the record, I was, when they first came out, Oasis, I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then, I couldn't help but fall in love with some of their songs. But there was always one of those bands I respected. I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't dislike them, or I was kind of in the middle. I heard Noel being a little bit more outspoken about many subjects that I agree with him on. And I was like, okay, I like that he's not afraid, and he's living that ethos, right? Whether you agree with him or you don't, he is not afraid to speak his mind. But the way you connected this and the comparisons and connections you made, if I could sum it up, I would say what you're saying is one character, one scene chose to bask in the glory of the darkness and overly indulge themselves in the dark side of things. The other side acknowledged the darkness, but looked for some form of light, some smile in the dark, like in the middle of nothing. That smile, kind of like I look at it as an infant child smiling, and even a serial killer can't help but smile back if that baby's smiling at them, almost like that. So I really like how you did this. This is good. You got me really thinking. I might go into some Britpop tunnel in the next couple of days. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you or derail you. I hope I didn't, but you're awesome, man. I love when you do this to me.
Since the announcement of the reunion, That's all I could listen to.
Okay.
First two Oasis albums. It was only like a couple of days ago I finally start listening to something else again. Well, to bring it even more to the present, and maybe to require a longer conversation, but with Justin Marler's book, the new edition of
Yeah.
Youth of the Apocalypse.
Yep.
And I have the privilege of knowing Justin, and I love him dearly. He's one of my favorite people,
Yep.
And, but even with my, I found that book back in the late '90s and stuff like that, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I really don't identify with it at all.
Yep.
And,
Okay.
and I've had this conversation a lot over the years, and I don't say that in any kind of triumphalistic kind of way, but I do think, and I wouldn't say it if I didn't think there was a purpose. Why I bring it up that way is to say that I think there are other people. There are other people who have different stories. There's many different ways to suffer.
Yes.
And I've never been a nihilist,
Mhm.
I've been a Christian my whole life, and I've intensely struggled and wrestled with my faith and wrestled with God, but I've never denied Christ or anything like that. I've never once seen life as meaningless or anything like that. I've just never thought that way. Now I've suffered a lot and I've called into question, but my struggle is more of the abuse of authority or corruption, like in the church and things like that. And there's no accountability and things like that, and getting hurt that way, or when I was younger in school and things like that. So and it's the same thing like with family and this or that. It's when whether it be abuse or divorce or things like that, why it's a terrible thing is because marriage and family and parenthood are such great things, right? So it's a huge suffering when you lose that, when you're when you get beat by your own parents. That's not what they're supposed to do, and it really challenges your kind of worldview and this or that. You know what I'm saying?
Very true. Very true.
But my point is that it didn't cause any sufferings I had, didn't never cause nihilism in me. It just hurt that why is this wonderful thing? Why is it being an instrument of evil or of pain? Whether it be, it could be a priest or this or that, or quote unquote the church, or a coach or whatever it is, or a teacher. I don't know if that makes sense. If I'm making
No,
sense.
you're making sense. You're making sense.
Yeah. That's what hurt me is because I believe in these things, and I still believe in these things.
Okay.
That's why it hurts. It didn't cause me to go, I've lost faith in God, or I've lost faith in humanity.
Okay.
I've never gone through that. And I just think, just to add to the greater conversation, which is similar to the kind of the Noel versus Kurt, there are two different ways to respond to the same situation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I'm definitely not saying I handled it like heroically by any means. I have my own way that I failed in my faith. I just didn't fail in that way. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I get it.
And another thing that's current, and I'm also privileged of knowing Father Chris. Watch his interview with you, and
he was awesome, wasn't he? Like that. He just mic dropped.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's so much I could say about it. The two things that really struck me was, one, just who he is as a person.
Yeah. Yes.
Of course, all glory to God. I'm sure, Father Chris,
yes,
to take it that way.
Yeah.
Credits due. He exuded joy.
He did. That's true.
He didn't have to say anything. He just had to sit there and smile and laugh and respond. And that was a testimony.
Yes.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong with being sad.
Yes. I agree. No, I know where you're going with this. I get it.
Angry, this or that, but through that, that's, where the Holy Spirit, it should bring a joy that can only be found in the power of God. And, Not trying to canonize him now, but I just saw Father Chris. He just embodied so much of the fruits of the Holy Spirit, especially joy.
I agree.
The other thing was his worldview.
Yes.
Because this is something I've struggled with, my whole life, and there was a part of me that was like, yes, I 100% agree. And I'm mad at myself because I have questioned that. I've turned on that worldview. I've turned on myself so many times in my life, thinking that maybe
which worldview are you referring to?
that creation through the redemption is a good thing. And that everything that we do can be prayer if we offer it to God. As in Thanksgiving, as a Eucharist, and we can sanctify everything through our intentions.
Yep.
And that is the answer, and I do think that is the true Christianity. This perspective that everything is a barrier or a distraction to God, and confusing what do we mean by the world? Do we mean the things of this world, or do we mean the spirit, that the fallen spirit that kind of inverted God's order? Those are two different things. And if you confuse them, then you really can get off.
That's true. Sorry to interject here. I love where you're going with this and the comparison, because for me, I relate to both those two characters. So we did a stream on a couple days ago for Youth of the Apocalypse, and I was reading it the night before the stream. I've never reached that point. I can't say the word on YouTube. You know which word I'm talking about, that starts with an S. I've never reached that point. And I've never been an atheist. And I've always had a belief in some sort of creator. At one point it was Jesus. It was God from the Orthodox perspective. And then later on I went down a hermetic occult sort of background, which is very nihilistic without the nihilism. I don't know how to describe that. It's even worse, actually, because you have this false sense of security of a creator. But when you really think of that creator from that perspective, the creator is everything. So if it's everything, it's nothing. So it's like a false illusion of nihilism. Like if you had asked me then, was I a nihilist? I would have said no. But one thing I struggled with going down the occult was my concept of God, the all, was all things that permeates and penetrates all things. And it's everything but nothing at the same time. So it had no identity, no personality. So to me, that was very nihilistic without calling it nihilism. So it was like a con. I was conning myself. I was really a nihilist, but not knowing that. So reading Justin Marlar's book, it took me to a space where I can feel that world. Like I do get depressed in that way, and I have before. And then to compare it to Father Christopher's worldview, which is the comparison you're making here, and I like it. There's many times where I've had that bubbly sort of feeling. You even said it to me privately, Mano, you strike me as a guy that you're like the life of a party. You said once in a conversation.
The ultimate hype.
The ultimate hype man, and like the life of a party, and that's true. But I'm also the kind of guy that when I'm low, you all come down with me. Like I can bring down the whole room. So like I've done both, like very extreme. I've brought up a room, I brought down a room before.
I see.
And I struggle with that because to me it's like they're two extremes of my personality, and my personality is extremely extreme. So this comparison you're making between Justin Marlar and Father Christopher, if I may put it that way, I could totally relate. And I did wear this shirt on purpose. It's the same shirt I wore with Father Christopher.
Yeah, you guys love.
Would love the Violent Femmes. So like whenever I feel kind of like low like that, I'm reminded of exactly what you just said. That particularly that look when I showed him the picture of him and Ian Mackay on the stairs, and his like ha 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 ha, like that jovial childlike reaction. So I do agree with you, but I do think it's important. And I know this is not. I'm not saying this isn't what you're saying, but I'm just. I think it's important because a lot of people are dark. A lot of people have basked in the glory of darkness, if I could put it that way. And getting that reality check of a 23-year-old sitting in the middle of nowhere in a hut by candlelight, writing and battling his demons, similar to Saint Joseph the Hesychist in a cave. Just because a lot of the art that we look at is very like very cartoonish, like it draws you into like oh, look how depressed Kurt was, I want to be depressed like him. You know what I mean? Having that image of the reverse of Saint Joseph the Hesychist in a cave battling his demons, or Justin Marlar writing this book, keeping himself on track. I think those two things are extremely important Sorry, I didn't mean to derail where you were going. I just wanted to add to that because I know that's my experience. I struggle with those two characters.
Yeah, I think you bring in an excellent point. Is your form of nihilism wasn't necessarily a darkness, but a false light,
Exactly.
which in some ways is, a reading of the fall. The deception wasn't like, oh no, you're not called to be like God. It's like, oh no, you're called to be like, but you could do it
Yep.
without God.
Yep. You are God.
Yeah, you are God, but without God.
Yes.
That's the false. That's the deception,
Yes.
and that's what leads. The false light can lead. It is darkness actually.
Oh, it's very
To
dark.
experience it that way or
Yes.
not.
Yes.
But I actually think it's really important to bring in, and that's kind of, I think, a connection to what I was trying to say as well. Is I mean, in some ways, I'm very comfortable in what some people would say darkness. I mean, a lot of my art, some people would say, is very, very, very dark or this or that. But it's a different kind of darkness.
It is.
That's why if one wants to really understand it, they'd have to maybe have to ask me or something like that. But it's like, so I appreciate like angst and even too much, maybe. I can listen to The Cure on repeat, and I mean, it's like I even wrote a song. Sad songs make me happy. Happy songs make me sad. So it's like,
Yeah.
but it's more of a melancholy type of thing, right?
True.
Yeah, but I think putting it all together, that's kind of the gift of what Justin Marler brings. Is like, this is how dark darkness can be,
Yep.
right? And and you're kind of saying it's like, yeah, well, I didn't go there, and I just saw the goodness of life, like what I was kind of affirming, and this or that. But if Christ is not in it,
That's right.
it's empty.
That's right.
It doesn't fulfill,
That's right.
right? And that would be an error too. And then that's, and that is the worldview that Father Chris was bringing, is that
Yes.
obviously Christ is absolutely essential.
Yes.
But when Christ is a part of it, it doesn't have to be superficial. And he and I were part of the same kind of Christian music scene and this or that, where you had to kind of overtly kind of put Christ into the art to make it Christian. It's like, no, that's not what makes it Christian. A lot of it just has to do with the intentions or the depth, of what's in that art or in the story and the characters. And if redemption can be found in that throughout that human condition, that's really true, Christianity. Yes. But if Christ is not a part of it, then it is empty.
Yeah, the work to prayer thing was one of the most helpful things for me, having him break that down. I think it's extremely important. Whatever work you're doing, whether it's self-work, whether it's gardening, whether it's taking care of your kids, whether it's picking up garbage, whether it's writing a song, if God isn't present in that, it's just completely and utterly not useless unless it leads you to God, but it doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't have that reality.
Yes, and it can't fulfill.
It can't fulfill, yes.
Right. And we can't be who we were made to be.
Yep.
See, I think the deception, though, is because of that fact. If Christ is not part of that equation, and we see so many examples, especially famous people, they seem to achieve everything that in this world you would want, and then they're not happy and lead to self-destruction. Well, I think false Christianity is to go, see, happiness isn't found in, being a great athlete or a great artist or this or that. And it's like, and so they tend to turn on those things and say they're bad.
Yes.
Or anything that's pleasurable or anything that's of the body. And I think that's a satanic deception.
That's a good point.
Is that, no, I mean, if you understand how much hard work goes into, these people have worked, harder than most people would ever put their time and effort into anything. I mean, through blood, tears. I mean, they have achieved that. Yes. Maybe they had some God-given talent. Maybe they had some luck. People work their ass off.
Yep.
But if Christ isn't a part of it, at some point, usually something goes wrong because it can't fulfill in that agitation, because we're made for God, and we just kind of have that God-shaped hole, and then something happens. And some people who are more sensitive, obviously, they can't handle that agitation, and they usually kind of do something that really goes out. So to put it all together, that's the thing. It's the goodness of this world, the goodness, I mean, obviously there are boundaries of what is permitted, but everything that's permitted is good and it's sanctified if we put Christ to it and we put our prayerful intention to it. And I think that is the true Christianity. And this is what I struggle with my whole life. And, I regret all the times that I've turned on that ideal, because I believe it's true. I'm convinced of it now. Whatever it is that you've got, interest, talents, just do it all for Christ and work and give your life to it. It's not a waste of time. It's not it's not an idol. It's not an opposition to Christ. It doesn't have to be overt. It doesn't have to be explicitly religious or Christian. You don't even have to tell anyone about it.
Yes.
Just do it. And that's just, there's a, I don't know do you know who Scott Cairns is? He's an Orthodox poet.
No.
He has this interesting kind of insight into vocation and discerning, our vocation, our calling, or what God's will is. And we typically look at our vocation as a mission. God's given us a mission, right? We're going to accomplish something, or we're going to bring Christ to the world, or we're going to save people, and there's that. And there's an element. I mean, that's a good thing, but that's not all that like a vocation is. Not everyone is called to be, an overt missionary, right? Not everything that we do has to function as a mission. Sometimes the best thing you can do at your workplace is just do your job well.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
You don't need to be like trying to find a way to, tell people about Jesus, or
or
even what you guys were talking about, praying the Jesus prayer when you really need to be concentrating, on your job.
Yeah.
Better prayer, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But what Scott has this wonderful insight I never heard before. He said it's not so much of a mission that God is giving you. Your vocation is God's way of loving you.
Okay, keep going.
All right. So God could express his love to you by let's just say he physically appeared to you and says, "Mano, looks like you need a hug. Come on, get in here. Get in here, Mano. Come on." Oh, you're in there. And you're just like, "Man, because I love you, man." And you're like, "Thanks, God." Right? That's a question of love.
Yeah.
And I think that's how most people approach God and God's love.
Yeah. Yep.
They want to be consoled by God. And that's not a bad thing. And we sometimes need consolation. But that's not really what it means to be partakers of the divine nature. Which is what salvation is, or deification, or theosis, whatever we want to call it.
Okay.
How we deeply experience God's love is that we love as God loves. That's why the two commandments, of loving God and loving our neighbor, in that we truly don't demonstrate that we love God until we love our neighbor. And there's many reasons why, but one of those is because when we love another person, we're actually being Christ to them.
Yes. Do you
see what I'm saying?
I do.
We have a deeper experience of actually what it means to be like God.
Yeah. I'm struggling with forgiveness currently. So this way, like, that's high on my list to learn how to forgive. And it is hard, because that's like a type of love that, for me, the way I take what you just said, it starts for me personally from my faults. It would be starting with forgiveness, and I'm having a difficult time with that. So
forgiveness is a great example. I mean, because Jesus even said, unless you forgive your brother, God doesn't forgive you. It doesn't mean that God is not wanting to forgive. It's that we don't receive the forgiveness of God until we offer it to others.
Yep.
Why? Because we have to participate in forgiving. Of course, we want to be forgiven. That feels great. That's what confession's about.
Yes.
But when we need that, because we need to be forgiven, we need to receive that forgiveness. But still, our greater participation in God and in his nature and his life is to act like him. And one of the biggest ones is to forgive other people, to love other people. And so what Scott, I don't want to lose the point of the vocation of our purpose in life, no matter what that is, our different roles of being a father or a husband or being an artist or a construction worker, whatever. There's these certain things that, it's not just we're doing it because we have to provide for a family or pay the bills or this or that. There's something that we just love, right? We would do it even if we didn't make money, even if we lost money for it. And we find these certain things that we just like absolutely love to do, right?
Yep.
I think a false Christianity would say, oh, that could be an idol. That could be something that gets you off. And Scott's going, no. This is actually God's way of loving you, because when you're doing that thing, right, you're just in the zone, kind of.
Yes.
Whatever that is, it could be like creating, you
Yes.
know, or it could be, training, or Kobe and Black Mamba, and he's like, I mean, he's just sort of outside space and time. He's just in another dimension. And we all have those things like that, and we feel, oh, we just keep this moment forever, because we're kind of being our ultimate self, right?
Yep.
It's like, I was made to do this. He says that's your vocation, and that is God loving you, and that joy you have in doing that. That's the joy of the Holy Spirit. It's a profound insight of what vocation is. And when we understand that, then we don't have these kind of hard lines between the sacred and the secular and the religious and the worldly and this or that. Everything can be, as he said in Schmeman's For the Life of the World, everything can be a gift from God that we receive, and that we offer it back in the spirit of thanksgiving, and that becomes Eucharist.
You see, what you're saying here is very important. Let's get into this a second here, because I'm starting to see a lot. This is how I came back. One of the ways I came back to Orthodoxy was realizing that the things I was practicing was a complete inversion of how you would view it in Orthodoxy. But it wasn't that they were describing different tools. Both Orthodoxy and the occult, the type of occult that I was into, were describing the same tools. The difference was who was controlling the tool. So back to what you were describing about being in your vocation, that thing that you love, whether it's art or gardening or whatever, and you're in that zone, you're mindful. In that moment, you're completely focused on the task before you, right? And that is something that was very prominent in the stuff that I believed pre coming back to Christ. And now I'm back to this, and I was talking about this with Father Christopher. I'm struggling trying to view my art from the perspective of being Orthodox Christian, and having the conversation with the Father Christopher kind of brought me back to reality, going, no. The difference is you're looking at the ultimate orchestrator of this creation is God, is Christ, and he's helping you show you the way by you being in the present, in that moment, in that vocation. And it's been helpful lately. And also when I forget about it, because I haven't been doing a lot of it lately, whenever I do pick up my guitar for 10-15 minutes, I feel so refreshed. I feel like I've taken a spiritual shower, if that makes any sense. I know I'm talking to a musician. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And whether I'm angry or happy or confused or anxious or any of that stuff, when I go to that space and I get lost and I'm in there tinkering beyond space and time, and as a musician, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're not here. Like, you're here, but you're not here. And now when I'm in that place, I am viewing it, and forgive me if I'm using incorrect terms within our church, it feels like I'm present with Christ almost. Not that like I'm that good of a person that I could be, but I'm just saying, if I feel like it's my version of an altar. Like I hope that's not.
That's correct, because we're all priests. That's what Schmemann is saying for Life of the World. And there is the priesthood of all believers. I mean, there's a distinction in the ministerial ordained priesthood. That you can only do certain things. Primarily, offering the liturgy and the sacraments and this or that, and they share in the priesthood of Christ in a deeper way. But all Christians are priests. We share in that priestly, prophetical, and kingly office of Christ. And you're right. That is eternity. See, that's the timelessness. That you're in the ever-present now.
Yep.
You're present to the present.
Yep. As a musician, I want to ask you a particular question. It just came to me to ask you. So that describe your version of that, because I've talked to musicians about this, but I don't think I've talked to like flat out about what I'm about to ask you to an Orthodox content creator, an Orthodox musician. That space for you, describe it, because I know what it feels like for me, and I'm sure as I'm describing it to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's a little bit different. Tell me, how do you get into it? Get into the metaphysics of it. How does it feel to you? What's it like? How do you feel internally? Do you feel something present? Do you mind talking about that person? Because it's very personal. Are you okay talking about that?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Well, I think it does embody, I was saying, is the redemption through the cross. I mean, I've been creating, like as an artist for almost 40 years, and it's not all like joy. It's not all that bliss of God loving me through
Yeah.
making art.
Yep.
Especially for people who, whether you get paid or not, it's kind of the difference between sort of the amateur and the pro.
Yep.
And there's some professionals who, approach it as an amateur and what is that kind of difference? The amateur, whatever it is, but we're talking about art, they create when they feel like it, when they feel inspired.
Yes. Yes.
It's always this joyful experience because they only do it when they want to.
Yes. Yes.
That's really immature.
Yes.
Really immature.
I love you saying that.
It's
Yeah.
also a reason why some people can't handle success.
Yep.
It's not just the attention and this or that, and not really having anything to say and being exposed and this or that, which we've covered. There's another aspect to it. Is now you're told when to play.
Yes.
Okay, you're on tour and you've got this many dates and you need to show up for the meet and greet at this time and blah, blah, all this stuff. And you got, your life is scheduled. You're like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. This feels like a job. And it's like, it is a job.
Yeah, that always bugs me. Yeah.
The thing is that when you were pursuing success, though it was a lot of hard work, it's a lot of hard work. I mean, you're playing for no one, you're loading your van at 2 a.m, you're eating bologna sandwiches, without the great Black Flag stories, right? Or was the anthrax or whatever. But it's like, it really, you're approaching it as a hobby.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you're working hard.
Yep.
But in your mind, it was a hobby. It's fun. And that's what they always say, right? It's just not fun anymore.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's because you're a kid and you need to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always going to be fun. You're not going to always feel inspired.
Mm-hmm.
You're not always going to want to play Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to hear the song.
That's right.
So you can play all the other songs you want, and you can do it for yourself. And I'm more that kind of artist anyway. You want the kind of fans who want what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But play Smells Like Teen Spirit. Come on, everyone wants to hear it, or whatever the song is.
Yes.
And that's growing up and learning how to be professional. And so, in that sense, when you create and even practice or work on stuff and things like that, you got to suffer. It's suffering. It's like training.
Oh yeah, I know.
But most of the time, it doesn't. So for me, the creative process. I mean, I've just been doing it a long time. But I can remember going through all those phases and making a lot of those kind of what I call rookie mistakes. I don't want to play that song anymore. I only want to play the new songs I'm writing that no one knows. It's like, no, you're wrong.
True.
And so, and that's the difference, and why some people just don't develop, as an artist or whatever they're trying to do is when it ceases to be fun, then they fold. And
so true.
Right. And so that's, and we can, definitely draw that back to the Christian life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're on that high of the new thing,
Mm-hmm.
That's the pitfall, obviously of the convert, but the truth of the matter is, we make that distinction just so we know what we're talking about. But in the long run, we're all converts.
Yep.
Because that's what the Christian life is. It's ongoing conversion.
Mm-hmm.
Every day we convert.
Mm-hmm.
Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But we have these kind of turning points, these milestone moments, and there's just this great grace, right? This felt grace. And it always was there, but now we really, consciously experiencing it. We want to pray and we want to go to church, and it's just like this or that. We want to read the scriptures and pray the Psalter and do the prayer rule and this or that. But what happens when that goes away?
Yes, sir.
Now you're actually really doing it.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
You're kind of being carried. You're kind of riding the wave.
Yep.
But now you've got a paddle and it's upstream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Christian life. That's
so true.
artistic life. That's
So true.
an athlete or anyone else, or being married. Right?
Yep.
Honeymoon's over. Okay.
Yep.
That now you're in real life, and that's really the difference for all of us. Is once you enter into the phase, kind of like it's not fun anymore. It's not easy anymore. So if you push through, then you have these moments, these kind of grace moments where if you can last long enough, it actually gets better. There's something better than the honeymoon phase, the high, like jamming, with the band and the song comes easy. Yeah, I always those are the great gifts. One take, wrote all the lyrics or whatever it is.
Yep.
But to write songs, to make art, it's been hours. Sometimes I've spent years on songs.
Me too. Yeah.
Just didn't finish. I just can't get it right. Whatever. And I tend to overwrite. So like when I used to do albums, probably for every like a 10-song album, I probably wrote at least 500 songs or more. That got weeded out into 10 or something like that.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And and some would say, well, that was a waste of time. Look at all the songs that. Well, that's what for me. That's what it took.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
To get 10.
Yep.
And so that's really what the life that the artist or whatever our vocation is, and that's the life of the Christian is. Being able to push through, and endure the cross, and to stay there and wait for, through those, 3 days, so to speak, if we stick with the narrative, and wait for that resurrection, that Pascha that comes through.
I love how you put all that. That is so true. You nailed it. You did. And it reminds me of that St. Paisios story of the tomato plant and the roots when he stops watering it. Do you know the story? Father John Valdez said it when I had him on the stream. I'm going to totally butcher it, but basically St. Paisios had these tomato plants. Long story short, he'd water them, take care of them, love them, and they would flourish. They would they were nice and healthy. And then he would take some distance away from caring for them, let them kind of wither a bit, and then he would go back to watering them after a particular amount of time. And the reason being is that it's like God. Sometimes he'll be there, and then sometimes he'll step away to let the roots grow deeper, so that you have a stronger foundation, stronger roots to see will you. He didn't put it this way, but I kind of look at it this way. So this is just me saying it. This is not St. Paisios or anyone else. I kind of look at it as like a test. I kind of look at it. It's like that perfect song that took you 10 years to write. I have one in particular, and it's one of my favorites to play. And it was one of the songs that we would play, and the whole place would go nuts. But that song took me 10 years to write, to perfectly perfect, to kind of rewrite, get it down. And I'm not like that kind of a writer. I don't do 500 songs for an album. I have a different process, but I know exactly what you're talking about. My version of that is like a lot of little riffs, a lot of little bits that are like good, and people are like, that's great. I'm like, no, it's not good. And then you throw it away until you get that one song. And to me, that tomato story and what you're saying is very much that. Like I'm sure I could speak for both of us. I can't stop writing. Like I've tried personally. I don't know if you have, but I've tried I didn't want to write anymore. I don't want to write anymore. I want to play a guitar. It's not my life. I'm not being paid. But I can't stop it. Like it's every time I've ever stopped doing it, my life struggles. Like my internal life struggles. And whenever I am doing it, it flourishes. And so yeah, sorry, I didn't want to derail that. I think that you made a lot of good points there with the honeymoon stage, fighting through it, kind of keeping to it, especially with your prayer rule. I know a lot of people that convert to Orthodoxy, that honeymoon phase is great. You're virtue signaling left and right. You're thumping the Bible. You're calling people out. But then at the end of the day, it fades. It doesn't have like and
that's some call aridity or this or that, or just when God seems to distance himself. And if you don't know better, you think, and then obviously the enemy comes in and says, oh, maybe nothing actually really happened. Maybe it was just all emotions.
Yes.
Whatever lie they speak, and if you don't know, and that's why the truth matters and why we need help, is to go, no. In a paradoxical sense, now you're actually in greater communion, because now you're sharing in, that space of the distance of, now you're entering back to, not just the cross, but the agony in the garden, right, in Gethsemane.
Yes. Yes, that agony.
All
Yeah.
these, and that's really what the Christian life is, and what the church does as a whole, and that's what the liturgy and the liturgical year is all about, is reliving, the earthly life of Christ through his mystical body, the church. And we all participate in that as a member of his church. Our life is sort of a sharing in the life of Christ.
Amen. Yep.
And that's how we need to see it. And that's what the liturgy is for, is to go see, you're having your kind of moment on the cross, or you're having your moment in the garden, or you're having, but it could be, this could be your moment of transfiguration, right?
Yep.
But, it's all of that. And that's what the Christian life is. And it's being able to, embrace the whole life, the whole Christ. We can't just pick and choose. I just want the good stuff, right? Or I just, I want to make music when it feels good. I'm inspired. You got to do it all the time,
Speaking of which, since we're getting to the end, I want you to obviously tell everybody about your musical endeavors, because you've upped your game a bit, I would say, in my opinion, like the amount of content you're putting out. It seems like you're trying different paths. It seems like it feels to me as an audience member that you're pushing yourself out of certain comfort zones. I don't know if that's true, but it does feel like that with some of the things you're putting out there. Am I wrong? Am I right?
I think that, I think like the last 3 songs that I put out, the Orthodox Outcast songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and especially not the last one, the Doomerdoxy, but the 2 before that. I remember, and I kind of did those a year ago, and I actually was pushing myself to do something I hadn't done before, and using even some different sounds and this or that, and approaches that even people who know all of my music,
I noticed.
I commented on that. They're like, I haven't heard that before. I haven't heard those sounds together. I'm like, good. And I was perfectly fine if it was terrible. I was trying to kind of push myself a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I've been working a lot. That's what I've kind of been doing, focusing on recently. I've done like probably 5 or 6 new songs the last week.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think my plan is I'm going to continue, releasing the 1 single every month.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm going to do, for Orthodox Outcast, 2 albums.
All right. When are we talking? Come on, let's go.
I mean, it'll be next year, as soon as I can kind of get all the songs done.
Okay.
I feel like I'm at a limit. So it'll be some of the singles that have been released, and then let's just say there's 5 singles released. The album will probably have 15 or 20 songs on it each.
Okay. So by then, I hope I have my what I'm planning in place, and we'll make sure we get all of your music out there to in front of people. We got some good ideas. Don't worry, we got good ideas. We're building something strong, and like I said before, we will never own your masters. We'll never own your copies.
And it's maybe for the next conversation, stuff like that. But just to touch upon, like the Doomerdoxy, and why am I posting David Koresh every single day?
Yeah. Let's go. What is it?
Well, just to touch upon it, it's what we've talked about. It's, to me, that phrase I kind of came up with because that term, boomerdoxy was kind of used for the boomers of Orthodoxy and this or that. But I think it's a false Orthodoxy. It's a false Christianity, this kind of doom and gloom negativity.
Yep.
And so that's what it is. And so kind of, interspersing David Koresh and Seraphim Rose and this or that, and Youth of the Apocalypse. And so that's why a lot of the songs and the song titles will have, kind of phrases that we're familiar with, book titles and things like that. It's trying to touch upon that and into, of what we just talked about, the idea of trying to avoid that kind of pitfall of identifying, kind of like with the sickness and the darkness, and kind of corrupting kind of the faith into this doomerdoxy. Yeah. So if anyone, you guys are listening and this or that, and I mean, it doesn't explain everything, but at least, why am I posting David Koresh? Well, there you go.
I love it. I want to go deeper into this. I want to have you back on real soon. We'll have a one-on-one, as well as I haven't told Father Christopher Foley but I wanted to do a conversation between the three of us. I had some surprises I'd like to throw in front of you guys and see how you guys tackle some of the subjects I have in mind. I want to talk about music. I want to talk about exactly what you just talked about there. And I want to see how the three of us deal with some subject matter. Would you be up for that? I'm just calling you out on a camera.
That'd be great. Also, don't forget Rob Saylor's book, which was on
yes.
the world and kind of apocalyptic kind of theology and this or that. I mean, in some ways, you know, the Doomerdoxy album is almost like the soundtrack kind of for his book. So
Yes. Thank you for reminding me that I started reading it. I started reading some of it recently, and I messaged him as well. Yes, that would be a great panel. I think that's originally the panel I suggested. I totally forgot. I think that was the three of you guys.
Fortunately, the hardcovers.
Father Christopher says he's game. He's game. I didn't even ask him. I didn't know he was here. All right. Okay, it's on.
Unfortunately, the hardcover is like $100 or something like that. I don't know, because it's an academic book, and there's a paperback coming out, and so that way, you know, kind of people can get it and be aware of it and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, he sent me a message after he'd seen the interview that we did, and he sent me a PDF, and I started reading it. I enjoyed it a lot, to the point where I had to stop reading it because I had to like do some other reading for some things I'm planning. Yes. But I definitely want to. Let's do this in the future. But I'm going to get you on solo too, because I have some other stuff I want to talk about. Okay. So you left me a couple of threads that I didn't really pick on because I wanted to talk about them when we have a little bit more time.
Yes.
My brother, I always enjoy talking with you. You always nail it. You're always like, you're one of my favorites. I'm going to stop saying stuff like that so I'm definitely going to get you back on. If you need to plug anything, we plug the crap out of you. So whatever you want to say it now. And I'm just going to make sure everybody knows exactly who you are. They already do.
Yeah, I've been, releasing a lot of new music and stuff like that. And that's kind of been the focus of the posts and stuff like that.
Okay. I will definitely plug you as always. My dear friend, have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Adios, brother. All right. Before we bring our next guest on, I wanted to say, hello, Manny. How are you, sir? How are you hanging? You doing good?
I'm good.
I like your background there. It's splendid. I love it. I don't know if anyone's noticed Manny's background, but if you haven't noticed it, you're noticing it now currently as he stands there before us. I don't know what to say after that. That was Orthodox Outcast. All right. I'm going to bring on our next guest sooner than I thought, because I want to have a conversation with our dear friend at Orthodox Review. I do want to set a proper one-on-one. So with you, Mr. Orthodox Review, I see you in the back there. Manny, do you have anything to roll before we throw him up?
I do.
All right, go for it, bro.
This is Robbie Biggie. You are watching you are or no more.
Oh, Manny, that was you, wasn't it? That was a Manny splash, correct?
It was. I was inspired by Post and Stephanie.
Big shout outs to Post and Stephanie and Mr. Manny Vanamides for those incredible splashes and introductions. We were saying it earlier. Post set the bar. He set one as a while back, and then he kind of set the bar. Then he inspired Steph, and then he inspired Vany Vanamides. After Mr. Manny saw Steph's, she sent us the splash. We're like, wow, this is crazy, this is sick. And then right away, Manny's like, I'm inspired to do this one too. And of course, he delivers with such Vany style. Okay, so our next guest, our dear friend at Orthodox Review, Raphael, has been requested constantly and consistently. One of the reasons I fell in love with his videos is he's charming. He's charming to the point where he doesn't even realize he's charming. And as I say it, I could see him backstage laughing and thinks that I'm like exaggerating. No. He has a certain charm. He's hilarious. He's a perfect character in the sense that he takes subject matter that isn't the easiest to discuss. I'm going to throw him up, man. Is that okay? So I want to say this to his face. I want to say this to his face. You ready, my dear friend? We got 2 thumbs up there. We got 1 thumb up. Let's bring him. Let's bring him. Let's bring him. Manny, you cool with that? All right. So what I love
That's
about your
only half the thumb. That's only half the thumb up. Come on now. Put your glasses on.
well, I brought you on early because I want to find out about the half thumb, and I think.
Oh, okay.
But honestly, your channel, one of the reasons why I love it, and I think a lot of people like your content, is because you take serious subject matter, difficult subject matter, and you bring it. You don't simplify it in the sense that, because you don't make things simple in the sense that you dumb it down. You just deliver it in a way where everyone's interested in hearing what you have to say, interested in your perspective on the way you kind of view it, and you view it to the similar kind of lens that I like to do things, where it's just like basic, it's simple, it's realistic, it's raw, it's honest, and you're not afraid to be genuine. Is that safe to say, my brother?
Yeah, I mean, when I started my channel, I was like, I should keep this reverent and simple. And when I was just doing straight book reviews, like, oh, hey, look at this prayer book, and it was just my hands and the book, and I was soft spoken. And about 2-3 months in, that went out the window, and the actor came out, and I started interjecting my personality more. And from that point on, I had to tell myself, I was like, listen, I cannot be one of those stuffy armchair theologians. Like, I barely graduated high school. That's my demographic. Those are my people. So I've got to, no matter how smart I may or may not be, how well read I may or may not be, what kind of grasp on the English language I may have, I don't want to be that guy, And
Yeah.
so I was just like, I'm going to keep this as blue collar as I can, because I need things gently massaged into my brain in words I can understand. So why would I not teach that way? And so, yeah, I just, I'm from the streets. I like to keep it real, yo. So I mean, but seriously though, that's the way I approach everything. I'm not,
Yep.
I'm not Justin Marler. I'm Raphael the retard. And so that's just kind of the way I present things. And glory to God, people seem to get something out of it, and that's the most important part, is that he's working through my channel somehow, through an unwitting servant who doesn't know his ear from his elbow. So glory to God.
Well, it's kind of fitting that Orthodox Outcast was on right before you, because I first heard of you from two individuals, Orthodox Outcast and Brody Alexander. They're both like, you got to have this guy on, and I wasn't familiar with your channel because at that point I was kind of like immersed in trying to figure out what was happening to me, because I was just coming back to the faith, and I wasn't like super into all the online Orthodox stuff. So I'm like, okay, yet another Orthodox channel. Okay, fine, let me just check it out, because at that point I was kind of like inundated with channels and like, check out this, check out that, and I was like, okay. And as soon as I clicked on a couple of your videos, I'm like, okay. And it's like I said earlier, it's kind of like your description that you just gave. It was refreshing, if I could say. Your content was refreshing.
Thank God.
Yeah, honestly, glory to God. You do some great work, my dear friend, and I love how honest you are about your life, your struggles. I do the same thing here on my show. Like, I'll apologize publicly if I make an ass of myself or whatever, and I like that you do that's the same, sort of the same. So, which is why I wanted to have you on to talk about the subject of addiction. I've struggled with my own in a different way. Before we get into that, do you want to tell everyone quickly the thumb? Because you always love to put it up there. So I don't want to put you in an awkward situation.
Yeah. No, not at all. And yeah, I've explained this a few times, like in my own live streams and stuff, because it's kind of a ridiculous story. And from the beginning, the thumb has always been its own character. And I will preface this story by saying, when I first lost my thumb, my dear departed grandma said, offer it up to God. And at the time I was like, I have no idea what that means. And then all of a sudden I realized that my thumb is not a part of me or a character trait, but is a thing unto itself that I now use to glorify God, to spread his message and spread, the worship of Christ. And so it's like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, this is God's tool right here.
Yep. Yep.
So what happened was, back in the dark ages of 2010, 2000, yeah, about 2010, I guess, 2011 maybe. I was, my ex-wife and I were living in this apartment building in downtown Wilmington. How many stories is it? 8 or 9 stories. Anyway, 7 stories, excuse me. I had to like picture it in my head. So we were living on the 5th floor, and I was out of work at the time, between restaurants, if you will. And so I was doing side work for the owner. And he had this handyman that was like kind of his super that did a whole bunch of the work. So over the course of several months, I was refurbishing and remodeling apartments and doing all sorts of cool handiwork. And so one day we had to move a stove from my neighbor across the hallway because someone wasn't paying attention and had installed a propane stove instead of a natural gas one. Of course, this problem could have easily been fixed by replacing the regulator, but whatever. So we had to move this stove out, and fairly large, fairly heavy. And this building was built in the first decade of the 1900s by an architect from New York. So had a very New York vibe to it, which I liked. Anyway, so you couldn't access the basement with something this large from the inside. You had to take it outside and then around the back and then down a flight of stairs and in through the bigger storage doors. And there was a step up before you start stepping down. Now, I'd moved many times, worked for a moving company back in New York. So I was, moving large items through tight spaces, up and down, left and right, BA, start. Nothing new to me. But of course, you submit to your elders and you do what the boss says. And the boss had this weird way of wanting to use the hand truck. I was like, okay, it should be turned the other way, but whatever. Because in my hubris, I was like, I'm strong. I can hold this thing and it won't. Well, I was wrong because we got it up that first step and then he tipped it too far and it was too heavy for me to brace. And so the stove slid right off. It pinned my thumb against the brick wall, tore it right off, and then smacked me in the head and then tumbled on its merry way. And so, as you know, anytime you hit a finger or something, it gets that stunned feeling. And so you instinctually, you just grab it. And, it's like, oh, ouchie. I wonder if I'm going to lose my fingernail. And he's like, are you okay? And I do one of these real quick. Open and close. Oh. I turned around. I was like, call an ambulance. We need to go to the hospital. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, get your truck. We're going to the hospital. He's like, what? He's like in total shock. And I just go like this. We need to go to the hospital. Bone hanging out and everything. And
feel that.
So anyway,
I can feel that.
Yeah, it was, and still to this day, like the initial pain, it was like just smacking your finger with a hammer or something. It just, because when there's no nerves there.
Yeah.
And so the nice young couple that lived above me was crossing the street at the time this happened. So they went down into the little stairwell there, found my thumb or what was left of it. And so when the ambulance got there to take me away, that was a harrowing experience because my anxiety was completely unchecked at that point. So it was bad. And my wife, as always, was such a loving person. She came down and started berating me and calling me a nasty word and just not being encouraging or supportive at all, because that's how she was. And so
I understand.
they doped me up. They get me to the hospital. They hit me with a nerve blocker, which I don't know if you know what a nerve blocker was, but it does
Yeah.
what it says. It blocks the nerves.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
from here down, this is like just dead. Like can't feel a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so they take the remnants of my thumb and they clean it all up and they sew it back on. And even the guy that was sewing it on, he's like, I don't know if this is going to work because it's not like a cut.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even an abrasion. It was torn. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it just,
Yeah. It's mashed up.
so, it was messed up. So within 2 days, it was necrotic. It was dead.
Yeah.
And, so it was like, okay, I went to see an orthopedic surgeon and he was like, well, we can just let it fall off and go from there. And I was like, no, I don't want to get gangrene or even risk getting gangrene.
Yep. Yep.
And he was
Yep.
like, well, we can remove the necrotic flesh and then graft your thumb to your crotch and try to regrow thumb skin that way. And I was like,
Mm.
how long are we talking? He was like, oh, about 9 months. I was like, so I'd have to walk around with my hand in my pants for 9 months and not be making money. He's like, yeah. I was like, no. And he's like, oh, but it's very popular in Asia. I was like, I'm not an Asian. I'm American.
I'm sorry to laugh. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I appreciate anime. Don't get me wrong, but no, that's not for me. And of course, the third option was just to amputate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I went with. So a few weeks later, I went in. Anxiety through the roof. They slipped me some dope, knocked me
Yep.
out,
Yep.
and then when I woke up, I had this massive bandage that didn't come off for quite some time. And of course, once the stitches were ready to come out, that was a lot more painful than I thought it would be. And then there was some rehab, exercises and doing things with different textures to kind of reacclimate, and then binding to keep it from being like a spade shovel and more like, straight like it is. Like,
Yeah. It doesn't.
probably could have done a better job on it.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad because I didn't even notice until a couple times when you mentioned the story on one of your streams, which is why I wanted to have you because I think it fits well with the way you do your show, which is what we talked about earlier, and then leading into addiction and all of that stuff. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring all of that up. My brother, thank you for sharing that story. It's quite intense.
My pleasure.
And what I said earlier was true, that I like how honest you are about your life, and if that's what we do here on SOS and Study of Stuff. I'm pretty blunt and raw. I share most of my experiences, and it's something that I appreciate. And I know it's not easy to do. I mean, it is once you do it. That's the other thing, is people think it's not easy, but once you start doing it and you see there's value to it, people kind of like love it. So addiction seems to be a huge struggle for all of us, and then having talked about Justin Mahler's book and escaping reality and all that stuff, addiction is where we usually go. One of we go to various types of addictions, and I know it's been a struggle for me. I know it's been a struggle for you. You've been open about it, and I think it's an important conversation to have, especially because you take it from an Orthodox perspective, of course.
Yeah.
And you give the medication is an Orthodox medication, if I could put it that way, on how you try to combat it. So I'm gonna set you up with that, and I'm gonna let you go, do your thing, call me up as soon as you need. Unless you want me to stay with you, it's up to you. How do you want to do this?
You can hang out, because if I get stumped, you can just push me along.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Hold on, Manny. What's the 5 minutes up for? What's the 5 minute until his episode starts? Oh, awesome. So he has an extra 5 minutes. Great. Keep
cool.
going. Sorry.
Well, so in order to understand my own struggle with an addiction, it's good to go back to the beginning.
Yes.
And God prepared me for this today, because I thought I had a therapy appointment this morning, and it turns out it's tomorrow. And so I borrowed some money. I'm never going to be able to pay it back, but I got some money from my brother so I could Uber down there, and I get down there. Well, on the way there, the Uber driver who picked me up, we got to talking about addiction. It ran in his family with his father and his grandfather, and and he's new to the area, and I was talking about how rehabs and recovery houses are really big around Wilmington.
Mhm.
And so we got to talking about it, and I didn't go too much into like my story with him or anything, but at one point I said out loud, I was like, you have to have God. Plain and simple. Without
Yep.
God, nothing works.
Yep.
And he was like, oh yeah, I know that, because he had gone to AA meetings with his dad when he was younger. And he's like, yeah, I guess that's why they have the whole higher power thing in the book. And I was like, it's so much more than that. It's like literally God. It's like you can't just make up some sky daddy,
Yep.
say, oh, that chair is my higher power. It's greater than me. No, it's not. Only one is greater, God. And so that is something that I was not able to grasp myself until I
Mhm.
became Orthodox. I
Mhm.
first got clean back in 2002. I was a bad drinker, and I was into powders and pills and all sorts of things because I was a complete nihilist.
Yep.
And I went through the steps, this, that, the other thing, but the one thing I never truly did was believe in God at that point, or trust in God, I should say.
Mhm.
And so, let me know if the AC is too loud, and I can turn it off.
Oh no, I didn't even notice.
Oh, okay, good, thank God. So fast forward to 2007, 2008, and I fell off the wagon, and everything was fine. I was with my now ex-wife at that point, and we were having a grand old time. She didn't care that I drank or didn't drink. She just didn't care. And so I was kind of handling it, but not really.
Mhm.
Um, and then so in February 2009, when I finally washed up in Wilmington here, I kept on that, and I was a devout drinker, devout.
What did you?
But
What
that was
was your
my
What was
day.
your choice? What was your poison of choice?
Just alcohol in general. Um,
Okay.
I was I I tried doing the weed thing, and it made me too anxious.
Mm.
For someone with an anxiety disorder, that was just not the way I wanted to go.
Not good.
Um,
No, yeah.
of course, you introduce anything into your system that alters your mood
Yeah.
in like a severe way, and it's gonna mess with you.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
which is surprising because the amount of coffee I drink these days just doesn't seem to affect me at all. My
Mhm.
medication has something to do with that, I think. But anyway,
Me too.
so I things got really rough for me. Like I was hitting a bottom, and I reached out to a friend of mine that I knew from the tobacco shop, and I knew he was in recovery. And I was like, yeah, I need a meeting. I need something. Because the night before, I had I'd apparently blacked out and kidnapped my neighbor.
Okay. Well, that just took a
That's a
turn.
thing.
That took
Yeah.
a turn.
According to eyewitness accounts, I went into their house, ate half a chicken, threw the rest of it around, and said, "We're going for a ride."
Okay. Okay. It's like a Quentin
So at the
Tarantino
time,
movie.
I had this 19 baby blue 1978 Oldsmobile Omega. So just one of those big boats of a car. And we got in the car. It's like, "Where are we going?" I was like, "I want to see the river." And we barely made it down there. And then I apparently parked the car somewhere in the middle of the front lawn.
Okay.
And the next day when I woke up, I was like, "Huh, man, I wonder what I did last night." And and he let me know, and he wasn't happy about it. And I was freaked out because not only did I black out, but I didn't feel particularly hungover either. Um,
Mm.
so I called my buddy, and he was like, "All right, I don't really go to meetings anymore. I'm still clean, but I'm going to take you someplace where those people hang out. So he took me to this coffee shop that's not there anymore, unfortunately. It was kind of a hub for people in recovery because the owners were in recovery. And so from there, and I had just started getting into Orthodoxy at that point. I think I might have been a catechumen.
What
that
year is
was-
this again?
So that would have been 2012
Okay.
because I was brought into the church. I was received into the church in 2013. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was about a year before then. So I was just starting to get into it. I had my study Bible, had my prayer book, and everything. And the surrender part came a lot easier at that point because I was like, well, yeah, I believe in God. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, after several years, I fell off again because I got complacent. And
Yep.
I went through that thing that a lot of people that suffer from addictions do. After a long time of recovery, they're like, I got this, I got this. So you fall off and then you fall off. And unfortunately, one of the things that triggered it was my divorce. I got a serious case of the ethics. And after being separated for only a few months, I was like, because people were dogging on me about this, that, the other thing. Because one of the things about being in recovery is like everyone wants to kind of imprint you with their understanding of God
True.
and tell you how to live your life according to their doctrine. And as a young convert to Orthodoxy, I was like, I'm not having that. And so I distanced myself from a lot of those folks because I was just like, I'm trying to hold the ancient faith here. I'm not going to have some nominally Southern Baptist person try to tell me that my theology is screwed up and that I can only stay sober if I'm a Bible believing Southern Baptist or Presbyterian or whatever flavor of the month they were. And so I stopped, and of course I had a rough night and I didn't pick up the phone to call anyone, and instead I drank. Now rewind a couple months, and I'm going through the conversion process, and my moral compass is changing to be in line with the doctrine of the church. And my ex-wife was like, this isn't. I don't like this. You were better when you were drunk. And I was like, that's a hard. So anyway, so I fell off the wagon, and I was what you would call a functional alcoholic for several years, with long periods, long dry spells, and that's how I convinced myself I didn't have a problem.
Yeah. Yep.
And so fast forward to when I had to stop working. So end of January, beginning of February of 2003, all of a sudden now it's just like I can't do anything anymore. I can't even stand through an entire service. Like I'm a cripple at this point, And so all I could do was sit around and drink and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. I blew all my life savings on physical therapy and chiropractors to no end. And so I found myself in a position where it's just like, okay, get up, say my prayers, get drunk, go back to sleep. And that wasn't like that every day, but there was a lot of that going on. And then when I found myself homeless and now I was bouncing around, so this is beginning of October last year, or it began in October last year, mid-month. I was staying with some families from church, 3 weeks here, 3 weeks here, 3 weeks. And then eventually I wound up in this luxurious camper that I absolutely love. And I am not joking. I love it's like my own little hermitage. I get to play monk every day. But I was drinking every day, to the point where I was like, I was starting to get the shakes, because I'd get up because I wasn't really sleeping consistently at all. I hadn't been for years. And so it was like I was doing the show, but it was like by noon I had to have a beer in my hand. Otherwise, like I wouldn't know how to handle the rest of the day.
Yep.
And so finally, when I realized that I was like shaking too bad, I wound up hanging out with a friend and his girlfriend one day that I hadn't seen in forever. And because I had put it out there, I was like, hey, man, you know, I've got some money. I'd like to go look at some shoes. You know, someone had donated a nice chunk of change, and I was like, oh, I can buy shoes. Mind you, I can't wear them a lot, but sometimes you have to have shoes. And so I put it out there, and he responded. He's like, yeah, man, I'll take you to the van store because I'm looking at buying new shoes myself. I'm like, oh, this is great. We can go out and catch up. Blah, blah, blah. And so on the way to the mall, we stopped for drinks. After the mall, we stopped for drinks.
Hold
We
on. Whose
started
idea
having
was it?
beer.
Whose idea was it to stop for drinks? Yours or his?
His. And he was paying. So I was like, so we stopped at 3 different bars between Midtown Wilmington and Castle Hayne. A 15-minute drive took us 2 hours because we kept stopping in bars. And it was the middle of the day. Like, I think he picked me up at like 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. So anyway, and we get back here, and we had Vespers that evening. It was Wednesday. We do Wednesday Vespers here. And I was like, my plan was that, hey, you guys can come to Vespers because you always say you want to. No, we wound up in the backyard drunk as a skunk. Missed Vespers. And then one of my other buddies from the church came over to check up on me. He was like, hey, is everything okay? Because I had texted him. I was like, listen, I'm kind of in a situation over here. I'm not going to make it to Vespers. And so, you know, after a while, it was like we couldn't stop them from leaving. But, like, they put me to shame. Because not only did they outdrink me, but I was like, I still want more. You know, I was like, you know, I'm trying to play it cool, like I'm still sober. And I went to bed that night thinking, I cannot do that again. Not that I will not, but I cannot do that again.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
so
Yes.
the next day, I had some money, and I still had enough for an Uber ride to the nearest AA meeting, and I went. And there were people there at that meeting that I met the very first time at the coffee shop, including the coffee shop owner. And they were very happy. Yeah.
All right. All right.
And so it's like, you know, so already I'm in good company because the people that were there were the people that I knew the best and that were the coolest. And so since then, and that was, I don't know, about 2 months ago. Now I've been able to stay sober because
Glory to God.
I got over myself a little bit. You know, I'm okay with reaching out when I'm having a weak moment, but also I think my faith needed to mature to a certain level that I was finally willing to truly give up. You know, like just surrender is what they say.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it or even very good at it, but I knew if I was not an Orthodox Christian, if I hadn't had the experiences that I had, especially living in the monastery for all those months, and helping other people, I wouldn't be able to do it myself. And admittedly, it's still very difficult. There are days where it's just like, I wouldn't mind having a drink or 10, just because it's like, I'm miserable. I'm a cripple. I can't do anything I want anymore. I'm completely dependent on other people for everything, you know, where I live, what I eat, if I ever have money in my pocket, nothing's ever mine. It's always someone else's. So it's a pretty miserable existence, all things considered. And so when you're stuck alone by yourself all the time, it's very easy to want to just have that distraction. And as the movies might have you believe, it's not like, oh, I can just replace it with something else and be as fulfilling. Like, by all rights, I should be in prayer half the day. You know,
Yep.
I should read the Psalter straight through
Yep.
every day. I've got nothing but time on my hands, right? I should
Yep.
be recording videos
Yep.
every
Yep.
day. But
Yep.
no, it's been over a week since my last episode. I was all set to record one yesterday, and I just couldn't motivate myself to it. So it's, just because you give up the substance and you rededicate your life to Christ, it doesn't mean that things are going to be okay. You're still going to struggle. As someone
Absolutely.
said in the chat about an hour ago, they're like, the struggle's real, and I was like, yeah, the wheels on the struggle bus go round and round.
Yes, I saw it. Yeah, yeah.
It's
true.
I not to compare myself to the saints, but if the saints are any indication, it's like I'm going to struggle and suffer all of my life, and God willing, I will have at least done one thing pleasing before the Lord, and
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
I'll find my place in heaven. But until then, it's like everything is going to ebb and flow. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to fall down. I'm going to get back up again. And from where I'm sitting now, the key is to remember that you have to get up. You may
Yeah.
fall. You may fall
Yes.
hard
Yes.
and far,
Yes.
but you
Yes.
have to get up.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
That's why I wanted to have this conversation. I wanted to have this conversation. I wanted to have you on because that's something I've watched you do. Is get up, fall down, get back up, and then and you understand it. You make no excuses about it, and you deal with it. And I think that's something that we all have to understand. That it's the most important part of it is getting back up, because there will come that day when you get back up and you don't fall back down on this addiction. There might be something else in your life or this and that, but you kind of learn. Just like going to the gym and lifting heavy weight over and over again, by doing that, you build a muscle, and you kind of you kind of figure out, oh, okay, I'm about to slip. Go pray, and pray it away until it goes away. And so I really appreciate you saying that, because that's something I have to say about you 100%. You always get back up and you make no excuses about it. So like, honestly, brother, that's awesome. How long has it been now?
2 months.
2 months. You did say that. That's great. That's awesome,
so
man.
2 months, and glory to God.
Glory to God.
I haven't slipped yet.
Yep,
It might be years
Yep.
before I slip again. I mean, I
Yep.
don't know for certain that I will, but it certainly is a
Yep.
possibility. Going to prayer,
Yes.
even on the days where I don't keep a strict prayer rule, prayer is
Yeah.
happening.
Yes.
And just to touch on Orthodox Outcast a little bit, I've had the good pleasure of having his acquaintance for years now. And it wasn't until recently that I knew what he looked like because of your show. But
Awesome.
yeah, like early on, he was doing this thing where he was like trying to just give people prayer robes. And so touching on that, I will say that this thing is a lifesaver.
Yes.
When all else fails, the Jesus prayer is there.
Yes.
So I would say that ministry of his is life-saving.
Yes.
And also, back in the day, he did help me out financially. Like, I don't know what his financial situation is, but anytime anyone helps me out, I'm like, that's a saint. So,
Yep.
just kind of boosting him up a little bit.
Oh, he deserves it. He's doing some good work out there.
He's doing the Lord's work, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to addiction in our faith specifically, first of all, if anyone is watching or listening right now that is wondering if they're suffering from an addiction, if they're having a hard time letting go of this, that, or the other thing, the most important thing you can do is talk to someone about it. Doesn't have to be your priest. It can just be someone you know at church. It could be someone that suffers. It could just be someone you feel comfortable talking to. The first thing you got to do, in my humble opinion, in a southern accent, well, so where's my boonie at? I'm gonna tell you. You just need to speak to someone. You speak to someone, and then you speak to the good Lord.
Yes, sir.
And I'm dead serious about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm lucky that I'm blessed that like one of my best friends at church has got like double-digit years sober. And it's like, and I've known that the whole time. So, so this time around, I was like able to like reach out and talk to him. Like it was, he's actually the guy that prints my shirts.
Awesome.
But yeah, and that's the thing too. Orthodox Review limited edition T-shirts. I'm taking orders until the end of the month, and then I'm printing them up, and then we're moving on to the next thing. But we'll talk about that later.
Definitely. We'll make sure we pump that out there for you.
Yeah, because I need money.
Yep.
And outside of that, like, I would say prayer works. It absolutely works.
Mhm.
I used to do the Akathist to the Mother of God of the Inexhaustible Cup, like all the time.
Mhm.
And, and I had a huge Sofrino icon of it. And I wound up giving it to my friend at church. And I had been sober for a while at that point, few years, which is odd. Like actually, I'm going through this with my therapist right now, trying to remember periods of my life that for some odd reason are just they're not there anymore. And thinking about it now, there were several years after I fell off the wagon, after coming into the faith, that I was sober again. And so I was like, well, I'm going to pass this blessing on to someone else who, at the time he was struggling. And I realized that after gifting that stuff away, I fell off again. Friggin' retarded.
No.
But yeah, like prayer, psalmody. I will never shut up about the Psalms. Like,
Mm.
like keep calm, pray a psalm. If you think you're gonna slip, you may slip, you may not slip, but there are things we can do to help prevent that. And one of them is to just pick up a psalter.
Mhm. Mhm.
Never have
Mhm.
one too far away,
Mhm.
or in the Bible or whatever, wherever you can read some Psalms, and just read some Psalms. And it could only be 5 minutes. Enough for a cathesma maybe. You might get frustrated and be like, "Oh, I'm done," and realize you've been reading for half an hour, praying for half an hour. Thank God. I guarantee you that when you're done, you will have at least distracted yourself from giving into that temptation.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
byproduct
Yes.
of
Yes.
that
Yes.
is
Yes.
that we glorified God in the process. So
Yes.
it's like double
Yes.
win.
Yes.
But the grips of addiction itself, and this is the part that I think normies don't get, is that it's not the substance that's the problem. The substance is a symptom of the problem. It
Yes.
is
Yep.
and the AA, the big book says as much, that it's a spiritual malady.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like, come to Jesus. It's
Mhm.
not that
Mhm.
simple.
Mhm.
You still have to put in
Mhm.
work.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
and
Totally.
and you start. It's kind of like a self therapy thing where you clear the fog enough that someone is helping you look at where your faults are, where they come from.
Yes.
And for me, in my case, I know it's like I suffered from self-esteem issues and anxiety and depression, and a life of failure and regret and rejection, and it's like all that stuff piles up, and it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to numb the pain, right?
I hear you, brother.
But now
I hear you.
now that I've squashed the physical ish parts of that addiction that I was in, it's like now I have to deal with the mental and spiritual parts. And that's another thing that I'm taking a lot more seriously this time. I'm in therapy.
Mhm.
Um, I'm in constant contact with my priest and with brothers and sisters here at the church.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm spending more time in prayer, even though I
Mhm.
feel like it's not enough. It's still more than I was doing.
Yes.
Um, Now I have the ministry of the channel,
Yes.
where it's like, okay, people are depending on it for
Yes. Yes. It's a responsibility.
reasons unbeknownst to me. Yeah, it is. It's a major responsibility.
It
And
is.
so it's like I have this work to do, and I can't be a hypocrite. Like I've been wanting to do The episode I wanted to record was on the prayer rule and variations in prayer rules.
Yep.
I did not complete my prayer rule yesterday morning or this morning
Yep.
the way I should have. So it's like, I can't record an episode because I'd be making myself a hypocrite. And I was like, oh, wait, yeah, missing your rule is part of the process. So, but anyway, be on the lookout for that. So, yeah, so the hardest part of all this is trying to explain to normies that it's like, it's not as simple as just, oh, don't drink. Oh,
Yep.
don't shoot heroin. Oh,
Yep.
don't do
Yep.
cocaine. Don't
Yep.
pop pills. Don't do this, that, the other thing. It's
Yep.
like, first of all, a physical addiction is nothing to sneeze at.
Yep.
And people that have never had an issue with dependence, chemical dependence, just won't get it.
That's right.
And the second part of that is because they've not had that issue, they don't understand the underlying issue of spiritual and emotional malady.
Bravo.
And so,
Yep.
because of that, you know, you can go to AA or NA meetings all you want, be in rooms full of these people, but they're not Orthodox, and they're not your Orthodox Christian family, and that's the family you want to understand. You know, now I'm very lucky and blessed that a lot of people in my community they're a lot more Christian than I am. And so they don't understand it, but they're sympathetic and they get it, so to speak.
Yep.
But I would imagine there's plenty of people out there where it's just like they're afraid to tell people at church. You know, it's like, oh, they're going to think I'm less than. It's just like, I'm pretty sure that we're all sinners. We're all broken.
Yes, sir.
Christ is the surgeon. Our priest is the attending nurse. And the church is indeed a hospital.
Glory to
Why
God.
hold anything back from anyone? You know,
That's a
it's
very
like,
good
oh, well, I
point.
go to confession about it. And I understand it's hard to go to confession because it's like the judgment of God seems very abstract to us, but the judgment of men is you know, palpable and real, and it's right in front of our eyes. And so I get it. Sometimes it's hard to go to confession and be like, oh, you know, I got drunk and threw rocks off an overpass or whatever it is, you know, that I've done.
Yeah.
You know, the priest is gonna, you know, he'll tell you, okay, well, don't do that anymore. Pray on it. I'll be praying for you. And, you know, maybe take a week away from the chalice to learn your lesson. But then, you know, our brothers and sisters in Christ, it's like, I understand the shame that comes along with admitting a fault.
Yes.
So my defense mechanism, as you know, through watching my shows and through all my interviews, has been like, I use humor as kind of an armor, turning tragedy into comedy, you know? And so the way that serves me is like, the people that know me, they know that I'm morose and depressed 99% of the time. And I have these massive anxiety issues. They also know that when I do talk, they find it fun for some sick reason. And so I'm able to kind of be honest. Like, you know, I talk to my friends at church and be like, oh yeah, I got so effing drunk. I, you know, did this, that, the other thing. But hey, you know, I reached out for help and I'm getting sober now and I don't wet the bed anymore, you know?
Yeah, no,
And,
you know
I
what?
present it like that, and I'm giggling to myself because I know what a ridiculous person I am, and they're giggling along, but also they understand how real it is.
I think that this is an important point here. I'm sorry to interrupt you because that's something that I'm seeing from my channel. You made a couple of good points here I want to comment on. Number one, a lot more people privately are going through a lot more struggles than they want to speak about openly. So when they watch shows like ours, I do the same thing you do. I just put it out there. It allows people to understand that they're not alone, like actually not alone, right? Like we're not basking in the glory of victimhood. We're actually dealing with the situation and the issue. And by talking about it openly in front of everybody, it allows others to realize they're not alone, number one, that there are people that are struggling through very similar things. They're listening to what the methodology is, and it's more than just a support group. It's a reality check, if I could put it that way. And the blunt honesty thing, that you're talking about, it's something that like I like to do a lot on my show, which is why I love having you on, is because you know what, when you're honest like that and you tell someone like, yeah, I did this stupid thing, I got drunk and I did this malakia, The next time when you're telling them something else, that's they know you're legit. They know they know. Okay, this guy admits the most like disturbing things or like childish things or whatever you could say that when you are being open and you are being honest. Exactly, they totally understand it. They feel it, and I think that's something that you provide, that we provide here, and I think that there's strength in that. People might see it as some sort of other thing. I think there's a lot of strength in being raw and honest, and it is a form of repentance. It's a form of repentance. It's like a public confession. It's a public confession where we could heal ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as an addendum to that, look at me using big words, right?
Look at you.
I can do more than 2 syllables. Don't let the lost teeth fool you. I will put this out there that I've got all the time in the world, and I'm selfish about it because I like to be left alone. That being said, anyone out there can reach me through my email, through any one of my social media handle.
Please do.
If you are struggling and you can't bring yourself to talk to a person you know face to face, lay it on me. I won't judge you.
I love it.
And I will try to outstory you.
Yes. Yeah.
I am all about being available whether I like it or not. That's the way that I try to sacrifice. I'm not good at it, but I'm trying. So, like, if you're out there and you're sniffing glue, puffing paint, shooting dope, doing suppositories, whatever it is you're doing that you're disgusted and ashamed of, and you want to talk to someone about it that's Orthodox and not in the same room, I'm your guy. Even if you don't want me to say anything back, you just hit me up in an email. Here's my phone number. Just dial the number and shut up. I'll be like, all right, and I'll just listen. Whatever. I'm not a guru. I'm not starets. I'm not even a proper monk. I'm a toothless bald guy in a trailer. But
no, you're more than that, man.
I've seen some shit.
Listen,
So,
my dear brother, we're getting towards the end. I want to make sure you plug everything you have coming. I also want to say a few things to you before you do that. So your final thoughts and plug your stuff. But I do want to say, honestly, I didn't just ask you to come back on, or even the first time when you came on, just cause I'm very picky on who I pick to come on the show. I'm very picky on how I like to get our message out there and all this stuff. And I just want to commend you on being open, on being honest, on being raw. What you're doing is far greater than you realize or think that it is. I'm just personally saying that to you. Maybe you're not comfortable with the compliments, but you're more than what you described. You're more than what you described. And I'm not trying to be cheesy about it. I'm just saying, just know that these types of stories cut through the noise. There's a lot of noise out there, a lot of online noise. There's noise, and truth and honesty cuts through the noise. And I just want to thank you for doing that, cutting through the noise, brother. So final thoughts, plug it.
Internet orthodoxy is a dicey place, so thank you very much. I'm a bit of an exhibitionist, so I will subject myself to any humiliation to be online. I'm always happy to do your show. What's going on with my channel right now is I'm still pushing content. I've got some Patreon content. I don't like doing exclusive stuff because I think everyone should just have access to everything. But
I agree.
Guys got to make a living. So I've got some exclusive content coming up for Patreon. The T-shirt thing. Okay, so my buddy Doug is printing Orthodox Review T-shirts, American-made T-shirts printed in Wilmington. He burns his own screens and he does it right there in his garage.
Okay.
As local and as niche as you can get. $25 a piece. All you gotta do is, hit me up on PayPal with that $25 and make sure there's a mailing address. And at the end of the month, we'll call it quits. I'll order all the shirts I need because I've got a very specific color, which is the kind of blue teal color you see in my logo online. And we'll print them up and we'll mail them out, and you'll have a genuinely one of a kind T-shirt. And then we might do it again with a different color or a different design. But so there's that. I got episodes. Like we've been discussing. I've got an episode on prayer rules and vespers. That once I can kick myself into high gear and really motivate myself to kind of get out of my depressive funk and do it, that'll be coming up. I'm not really on Instagram a whole lot. I'm usually only on there to promote whatever new is coming out. So my apologies to anyone if you're just not been seeing content on there. I find social media to be very tedious, but as a communication tool, it's fantastic. Outside of that, I'm just scraping by. Send money, all you people out there with spare change.
We sent out all your tags.
$5, 500. I don't care. You send me your money so I can afford that new G6.
Hallelujah!
Hallelujah! The Lord told me if I get $500 more, I go grind up to heaven. But no, seriously, if you feel like supporting a manic depressive lunatic, that's a thing. All those links can be found on my YouTube channel. But
we've been pushing them.
Hey, thank you. But most importantly, if you're out there and you're just looking to reach out to someone, for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be addiction. It can just be like, my hand hurts. I don't care. I'm here. I'll listen. I'm not one of those internet personalities that's like, oh, I don't have time for this. I know I've got all the time in the world. Hit me.
It's true. It's true.
You know what? The more people reach out to me with their problems, the more it's helping me, just as much as it's helping you. And all of this is through God's grace and to His glory, because without Him, none of it's possible. And if I'm not doing it for Him, then I'm just working for the enemy. So,
glory to God, my dear brother. Glory to God. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy our conversations. Expect another invite onto the show, probably a podcast interview straight up. We'll have a conversation or whatever. I have a couple ideas for panels to throw you on too. So I'll be reaching out, my dear brother. Have yourself a great, wonderful day, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. You as well. And thank you again for having me.
Always, my dear friend. Everyone, that was our dear friend from Orthodox Review. Be sure to follow him. Check out all his links. Manny's been putting them out in the chats. We'll have them definitely in the descriptions. My dear friend Manny, I need to go to the bathroom. You got me covered for a minute?
I can cover a minute.
Awesome.
All right. First, we're going to go with another splash.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Bored No More Network. Stick around and enjoy the ride. We'll be here for a bit.
And now we have a message from our sponsors.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Town. Jeepo Town. Oh, my dear friends, I hope you're enjoying this lovely broadcast. If you want to help support any of the content creators that you've seen so far that you've enjoyed their amazing content, feel free to donate to us. We'll be splitting all the donations with all of our lovely friends on Bored No More Network. As well as if you want to help support us in general, feel free to join our Patreon, where we'll have some interesting conversations that we can't have out here, but we can have over there. Anyways, help. Feel free to help us out if you like.
Hope everyone enjoyed that one. He's still gone. We're just gonna kind of sit here and chill for a second. Yeah. And there he is. He's right there. And I'm just talking to fill time.
Oh my God. All right. What did I miss? Did I miss anything?
Commercial and splash.
All right. All right, my dear friends. What a day. What a show so far. You're watching Bored No More Network, as you probably all already know. Big thanks to Orthodox Outcast and to Orthodox Review for being on the show so far. Those are two amazing conversations. Every time, I sit down with one of these fine fellows, we always have filibustering. Manny was filibustering. There's always like moments where you never know where it's going to go. And that's what I like about doing everything unscripted, doing everything kind of raw and all over the place. Our intention is to kind of, just see where the conversation goes, see where the energy flows. The very first conversation we had with Orthodox Outcast went into some areas I didn't expect to go to. Although, one thing I expect when I talk to Orthodox Outcast is to expect the unexpected. That's also something we do well here on our own. So you put the two together, you have like the completely different routes to take, completely different lefts and rights. Then, of course, we had our dear friend Raphael from Orthodox Review. What a conversation that was. Starting off with some good laughs. My thumb still hurts from that story. I can totally relate to a lot of what he had to say about addiction, dealing with addiction, the power of prayer, the power of confession, the power of raw honesty, putting it all out there. I find that that's really helpful for me. And I really appreciate that about his channel. I know you guys all follow his channel, but if you don't and you're watching this on the replay, please go follow both Orthodox Review and Orthodox Outcast, and of course all of our stuff. Thank you guys for sitting. I see like the view count's pretty good for considering the fact that there was a bunch of other streams going, other Orthodox streams rolling as while we were doing this. Some heavy hitters out there. King Pilled was doing his thing. Jim Bob's still doing his thing. I think Mr. J Dyer is doing his, or going to be doing his thing. So I really appreciate you guys watching our stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying the Bored No More stream. It's been a week. It's been a month. It's been a year. And it's going to get more intense as we go. Many levels, many different levels. I think on a physical level, on a mental level, and definitely on a spiritual level. I maybe I should just stop saying it and just repeat it every time, because it seems to be the case. The high amount of spiritual attack out there is at like an ultimate peak. It seems to be bubbling and it's spraying everywhere. That was a really bad image in the mind. Let's see who's in the chats. I'll stop myself there, and we'll get back to some jibber jabbering. Who's cool? Should I say hi to? Our dear friend Post is in the chats. Screwed Up Rebellion. Welcome, my dear friend. Mark, what's up? Mark, Light of Tabor. What's going on, dude? Always happy to see you in the chats. Denise is in the chats, of course, always. Orthodox Review, thank you for being here, brother. Thank you for being on the show. Orthodox Boomer Grandma, hola. Punchy, hola. Who else? We got Daniel up in there. We got, I'm just scrolling through. If I haven't shouted out your name, Travis, welcome to the stream. We got our dear friend, Mr. Wesford, coming up soon. Is Mr. Wesford around? I can ramble for a minute. I got a few things to talk about and say. Manny, what's going down?
Nothing much.
Is Mr. West around?
He's not, which is why there's nothing much going on.
Okay, cool. Well, we got some stuff that we got to mention that we didn't play and mention in between the whole thing. Does he have a message? Does he know he's coming?
I'm checking now.
Okay. So a few things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to thank everyone for their support. So I'm going to throw this bang up there. Boom. Throw that up there, Manny. So huge thanks to everyone that's backing us up and supporting us on Patreon. Nessa, Nino, Kevin, foundation level. We have James, John Marnica, that guy who always wore a hat, the Metal Mystic, Sammy, Tatiana, Alexander, Stephanie, and Mr. Beard. Thank you guys for supporting us on Patreon. Man, you want to throw up the other one? And then also I wanted to thank everyone that's been supporting us on YouTube. We got monetized a couple of weeks back. We want to make sure that we stay monetized, so we have to be a little bit careful on some of the things we talk about, some of the things we do. So on YouTube, I want to thank all the members: Tatiana, Mark, Light of Tabor, Denise, Joe Briefcase, awesome name, Dave Atlas, Nadim, and Mela. Top 3 tip supporters. So thanks to everyone who throws out tips and all that stuff. But our top 3 is David Atlas, Girl Hex, and Logan Daly, or Dala or Dala. How would you pronounce that? I don't know, but there it is. That's the name. So big shout outs to everyone that helps us out and supports us. Just know that all of that support goes to keeping the show going. It's been a help to getting us to Texas. We're going to Texas officially. So for those of you guys that don't know, end of the month, we're going to Texas. We're going to check out a couple of projects over there. I'm interested to see where a lot of this goes. I'm going to get to meet a couple of key people in my life that have helped me along the way in this Orthodox journey. A lot of the people, I don't know if I can mention their names, but a few of them that are pushing us towards this particular project we're going to go check out, see where that goes. Big shout out to you guys. You know who you guys are. They're also the people that kept smacking me upside the head. Come to Texas. Come to Texas. You got to check this thing out. I will actually be able to go to church. Finally, go and take communion, confess to my church father face to face, meet him. That would be awesome. That would be incredible. Really looking forward to that. I'm not going to lie, a little bit nervous about that as well for a couple of reasons. Haven't been to church in many years. Well, it's going to be a big deal for me, even to like do all the things I just listed. Kind of might maybe even get to talk to Justin Marler face to face. That looks like it's going to be in the works. That's interesting. We did a live stream on Tuesday, was it, for Youth of the Apocalypse. The importance of that book. That whole stream was one of my favorites. So if you haven't checked out that stream that we did, Youth of the Apocalypse, please go check that out. Honestly, I haven't asked people to do that for any of our episodes, but that one was one of my favorites for a number of reasons. The book, of course, what it's done to me, what it's meant to me. His music, Justin Marler's, as well as, I did a little bit of a public confession there. I talked about a couple of things that were on my mind. Logisme, how easy it is for online Orthodox, even standing in front of a camera, how easy it is for the logisme to get in your head and kind of steer you and move you around. It was a grounding episode for me. Really want to support Justin Marler. Just because that book is an important book for a lot of us in the Orthodox community, especially for us that have a punk background, especially for us that have partaken in some of the darker things out there. Anyways, so I really encourage everyone to go check out that episode. I want to know why Manny is smiling. What's up, dude? What happened? What did I miss?
Oh, I'm just catching little previews of Mr. Westford's segment. It looks looks like it's going to be good.
It is. I'm gonna introduce it right now, and then we'll bring him up on the screen. Okay, is that cool? Your mic was not on. You got to get better at this, my friend.
That is a yes.
Okay, awesome. Is there anything you need to throw up before I bring up our boy Wes?
There is.
All right, go for it.
It's gonna be this one.
This is Raphael from Orthodox Review, the most uneducated educational program on the internet, and you're listening to Bored No More Network.
Bored no more.
Oh man, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be awesome. You know what's gonna be awesome? This is gonna be awesome. Mr. Wes, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a background. So actually, no. Yes, should I? Yeah, I will. So I think Mr. Westford's got some particularly unique and awesome gifts. Everyone knows I adore and love the dude. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of what he's doing out there. His intention is legit. I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I don't think I've ever had anyone on the show that's not the same off air as they are on air. I think Mr. Westford's heart is in the right place. His mind is in the right place. His intentions are in the right place. And he does his absolute best to kind of get things out there and help people on board onto Orthodoxy. I think he's also on board with us that we need to kind of put out some different kinds of content out there, kind of spice up the online Orthodox sphere, maybe kind of do what we discussed with Orthodox Review, kind of like, just be chill, puts out some good content. One of the talents that I'm referring to that Mr. Westford has is he's a funny dude. I think he's hilarious. I think he's got some untapped talent that we want to tap into. So I've been encouraging him to come on and do a segment, some sort of funny stuff. So off air, we've discussed a couple of ideas, and I'm happy he's been cool enough, wise enough to take our advice. See how cocky that's not. No, that's not. All it is that the guy's got skills, and we want to see it. We want to put it out there. So I'm going to bring up Mr. Westford right here. Boom. Hello, sir. We can hear you. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's been an interesting season of life. Just had my second kid a month ago, and we have a new rental property that I've been trying to get up to speed with a new tenant and all that. And also, okay. So the three main things that have changed my life in the last 2 years is that I had my first kid, and I got my second kid. So I became a father.
Congratulations.
I became a landowner, bought a house, and now I have a rental. So I'm a landlord. Awesome. I feel like I've aged about 15 years in the last 2 years.
Well, those are all good things, though. Those are all good things. Glory to God.
Good problems to have.
Yes. Also, you also put out really good content, and I think that's that you understand the responsibility of it. I think, and I really like that, and I like that. You're like I said earlier before you jumped on. I meant every word I said, and I think that's something that's really cool that you do.
I was waiting for a button. Like, yeah, he's got really, got a lot of potential to tap into. He's got a lot of good intentions. But I was kind of waiting. I was like, where is it?
No. Is that how you took it? Is that how? I hope no one took it that way. That's not what I meant.
You saw me down here in the green room. I was like, but yeah, where is it?
No. It's just that one of the things we're trying to do with Bored No More in general is that I find that a lot of people have a lot of talents out there, and maybe they don't see that there's like options to do different things. And I think you're open to it. And what I was getting at is you're not just trying to do the same old content that's out there. Like commenting on someone else's commenting of a video. You are doing some of that, and some of the other people are cool. But I think you got skills that are untapped, and I just want to set you up to put you in front of an audience to do something different. Not that your audience and my audience are different; they're the same audience. But I'm saying encourage the humor thing. Like do comedy, get out there. I like to push people in like areas they're kind of uncomfortable with. Even some of the people that wrote articles for our zine, I push some of them. I'm seeing some of them in there, and that's what I'm saying is like, let's do this, guys. Let's take some risk and like do something weird stuff out there.
Well, I think in typical Bored No More SOS style, it is going to be it's going to be what it is. What will be will be. I started working on this day before yesterday.
Okay.
And we'll see where it goes. You said, just like last time, you're like, do an Owen Benjamin thing. And this time you're like, do Norm Macdonald doing the news. So my brain, my subconscious mind, as soon as I let it chew on that, it just started feeding me Norm jokes. It was feeding me like really young Norm. Like specifically, there's one bit talking about his dad and getting into smoking. He's like, and there's my dad. And behind him followed his big body, as it normally does. So that I'm not going to do the delivery. But my brain, everything I'm going to say was in that young Canadian voice. All right. Well, before
you get into it, let me tell you why I was thinking of that, because I haven't let you know about this, but I will eventually as soon as I get it set up. I have a whole new segment thing that I want you to do with somebody else as well. I have talked to that person. You definitely know that person. It's going to be great. So I'm trying to set this up so like part of our Bored No More universe will be like you doing your thing and this guy doing his thing. And trust me, it's going to be sick. So that's why when I was like, Norm Macdonald, he's got a totally Norm Macdonald thing. Do this.
All right. Well, before we go on, can you hear the audio here? Please let me know you can hear it.
We could hear it's a bit choppy. No. Is it choppy, Manny, or no? Manny's saying the connection is a bit choppy.
Did you hear?
Did I hear what?
Oh, okay. But did the thing pop on the screen just now?
I didn't see anything pop up. Manny, did you see
Oh
anything
no,
pop
no.
up? No. Do you want me to throw you backstage and you can
Oh, man.
practice with Manny and then I'll put you back up? Does that
No,
help?
we'll do it live. We'll do it live. This was
Exactly.
yeah. No,
It's SOS.
we're just gonna
It's
do it.
SOS.
We're just gonna do it.
All right.
You know, I have a whole bunch of jokes here written, and I think about half of them have punchlines, and the other half have thoughts. So we'll just if I say something that does not make you laugh, it is what it is. Okay, so we in culture.
I'm
Hopefully
jumping
this
off.
clip plays.
I'm gonna jump off, and then you call me
Okay.
when you need me. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool?
you got it.
All right, buddy. Have a good show.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, thank you, sir. All right, and scene. Okay, we're doing cultural commentary. We're doing news. We're doing all the things that we got to focus on here as people in America. We got it's the world's moving faster and faster. It's it's really easy to get left behind. So I'm here to help you. I'm going to help siphon everything through a little sieve called my mind, and it's going to come right to you through this presentation we have going on. So what the kids are into, everybody needs to know what their kids are into. What are my kids into? My kids are little babies, but they're getting into some weird stuff. So let's get into what the kids are getting into, everybody. Please tell me you can hear that. I guess you didn't really need to hear. It's just like royalty-free music. I guess I was making a big deal out of it. All right, guys. So this is called planking. Well, anyways, that's called planking. It is what the kids are doing. Instead, it's not an exercise. It's not exercise. You might confuse it with planking the exercise where you work out your core. This is just you lay down on the ground or on a bridge. Well, you saw it. On a related note, geriatric millennials more out of touch than baby boomers. So people have been saying, hey, Manny, I need you to share the screen here real quick. We're going to go on a little adventure together. People have been saying that AI and ChatGPT, they're going to be taking away people's jobs. And I thought we would do a little bit of an investigation to see if that is something we here in America need to be worried about, or is our job security all right? So, me as a comedian, I need to know, is this thing going to out-funny me? So let's ask it real quick a couple questions. Tell me a joke about Jews. That should be easy. Well, it's not that fast. What? Let's keep things respectful. Humor can be fun when it brings people together. Well, that's disappointing. What did it give me? Why don't skeletons fight each other? Because they don't have the guts. All right, let's try another one. I have a pretty good joke about the Das Juden. So what? Oh, sorry. How do you get two Jews to make a wire, a copper wire? You put a penny between them. You see, it's because they're very greedy. I don't know if you've ever heard of that Jews are greedy, but it is what it is. Here, let's try another one. Tell me a joke. Let's try to get a little personal here and capitalize that about black people. That shouldn't be that hard. Okay, we're sorry, guys. It's I believe humor should always. You can't believe anything. What do you mean you believe humor should always be respectful and inclusive? Okay, I'm not even gonna read that joke about eggs. Let's try one more time. Okay, tell me a joke about white cis men, please. I believe it. Oh, I hadn't tested this out before. I assumed it was going to give me something. Well, I think that I probably have some job security there. I wasn't very impressed. See, I can make jokes about Jews and black people. So, yeah, anyways, where am I at here? Well, I mean, my last appearance here on Board No More, and Mano's been saying it this whole time. If you guys donate, then he's going to pay us, and this can be a future employment for us. So I was able to make $3.50 on my last appearance, and that's it's not nothing. And just like Jordan Peterson says, that's not nothing, bucko. And I was able to call my mom and tell her, I'm actually getting paid for doing comedy things, doing things online. And as long as she doesn't pry into that, then it's all good. It's a good conversation. But that's as far as I can let it go. That's as far as I can let it go. And Mano, Vany, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you guys do here. I appreciate the philosophy of what Board No More and what SOS are doing. Really appreciate it, you guys. But hey, chat, $3.50. I mean, I'm not trying to complain or nothing, but I mean, I got paid, but I feel unemployed. And let's keep going. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if I get paid another $3.50, I live here in Seattle, I could probably buy some coffee. All right, have you guys ever heard of the Uberman cycle? Is that something you guys have ever heard of? It's also called polyphasic sleep schedules. So the whole thing is, and this I knew people who were super into this, 4 or 5, 6 years ago. Apparently, Leonardo da Vinci was a huge proponent of this. It's where you sleep for 2, 3, 4 hours a day. You split it up into like 30-minute naps. And I got to tell you, as a father of a newborn, is bullshit. This thing don't work. I mean, I think every father out there, you can say, you probably never heard of polyphasic sleep schedules. But it don't work, dude. And I just don't think that, in the Renaissance, there was lots of new inventions and new mindsets and stuff, but they also came out with like coffee. Coffee was like really big during the Renaissance. And a lot of people, post hoc say that is why, all this art came about, because people are all freaking up on coffee. But yeah, it's not enough. It's not enough. I think we need to rethink the history of energy drinks, because there's something there. That's why I'm here right now. Because here, I want to share the screen again. Look at these people's faces. Like, these are people who are proponents of the Uberman cycle. They say, "Yo, no, it's great getting 2 hours of sleep." Like, just look at their faces. Look at this dude. Oh my. That guy's getting 5 hours of sleep. Dude, I would love to get 5 hours of sleep right now. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, let's go over here now. This week in revisionist history, Leonardo DiCaprio, hilarious. Oh, no, wait, no. Sorry. Gosh, this is why I'm so unorganized. I actually have a joke there, you guys. I told you, if you don't laugh, it is what it is. So people will say, you're a father, you're not sleeping much, but that's not the real Uberman cycle. You actually have to take these intentional naps. That wasn't the real Uberman cycle. You haven't really tried it yet. Where have I heard that before? I think people who are doing Uberman cycle, communists. Like I said earlier, Leonardo DiCaprio Leonardo da Vinci, this man right here, confirmed communist. I mean, I think I walked through the logic there pretty good, you guys. It's pretty good. So, again, in revisionist history this week, I don't know if you guys have heard on Twitter, Winston Churchill is the new Hitler. You know, I once heard a metal guitarist, a guitarist in a metal band, say that he became a much better guitarist after he became a father. You know, he had all this so much more motivation. He had a purpose and a reason to do what he was doing. And you know, when does that kick in? When does that kick in, you guys? I'm looking forward to that. And I thought I heard that like a decade ago on a podcast, and that was so inspiring to me. Now, you know, I've got kids now, and I'm trying to do all this stuff. But when does that kick in? You know, maybe it's just the sleep deprivation that makes you take more risks. Imagine, what is it? Imagine hearing someone say, I make so much more money now that I have kids. For me, it's the same paycheck, but 10 times more energy drink purchases. And it's not sustainable unless Bored No More can continue its rise, you guys. It's exponential rise. You guys know about exponential growth. It's so you'll always hear, would you, and this is a hypothetical now, this isn't real, nobody would ever do this, but would you rather take $1 million in a briefcase right now, or would you rather take a penny that multiplies every day? Once a day, it'll multiply. So 1 penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies. You know, I think I would take the $1 million, but the smarty pantsers will say, no, you'll actually have like $40 million by the end of 1 month if it just multiplies for 31 days. And this is why it's a stupid hypothetical, because what time in your life would receiving $1 million in a briefcase be the bad choice? You know, you take $1 million and the person that hands it to you is like, you idiot. You should have paid more attention in calculus. And I'm wondering, does all this stuff I'm learning with childhood and this guitarist that I don't understand how he became a better guitarist from having kids, is it like a Mr. Miyagi thing? Like, I've noticed that when my wife and I are passing back and forth the baby, I'll still be bouncing like this for minutes before I realize. And I'll is there like a Mr. Miyagi thing that happens where I pick up a guitar and that applies somehow? I don't know, but I'm gonna just keep working until it happens. So anyways, let's go on to the next segment. Okay, so this is things that are happening in our culture. We're trying to keep up with what the kids are doing. We don't want to get left behind. It's really easy to get left behind. So this is called planking. It's not an exercise. It's actually just when you lay down on things. You know. Oh, look, he's on a log. That's not. Wow, this is really boring. Well, anyways, on a related note, geriatric millennials actually more out of touch than boomers, and it's starting to become a problem. And well, I can't tell. Did I play that clip already? Did I? You guys, hey, help me in the chat. Did I play that clip already? Huh. Well, dang. All right. Well, my last appearance here on Bored No More, I did a roast of Owen Benjamin. Oh, I did play it. Wow. Well, I did a roast of Owen Benjamin, and I had several people comment saying, wow, you look a lot like Owen Benjamin. And here, maybe you think that's, not a great picture of him. Let's try another one. He's got a beard, and he's depressed. And just for anybody that was commenting that, here, I think, here is some information I think would really help you, that you should really keep in mind next time you comment things like this. And here I got some more for you. Where is it? Oh, there. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. There it is. Oh, that's about school shootings. I just looked up bullying statistics and clicked the first one. That's not what we need. But I think it's relevant either way. If you go around saying people that look like Owen Benjamin, this is how society deteriorates. This is not a way for us to live as a people. Okay, let me keep going. Y'all ever see weird caution signs? Like you're out and about and you just see like one of those cancel signs and it's got something like real weird on it. And you have to think, what had to have happened for them to feel the need to put that sign up? And I realize that this sounds like a joke that, was stolen or something like that. I didn't steal it. Didn't steal the joke. Didn't steal it. I know that that's sounds like a common premise. I feel like everybody's had that experience. Once I was on a ferry, and you can go out to the deck and like go up against the handrails and feel the mist on your face. And I looked to the left, and right by the door, there's one of those cancel signs, and it's a stick man throwing a stick child off the railing. It's like, don't do that. But it happened to happen at least once, right? It can't be preemptive. Nobody thinks, hey, that might happen. It's only after the fact that it's happened. Okay, well, let's try to get into some more stuff. This week in politics, everybody. Last Tuesday night, 31.3 million people watched a man beat a woman on live television. Very sad. Sad to see what our culture has come to, that we allow that, how many more steps until gladiatory combat from beating women on live television? Well, another thing that's happening in our culture here, you may have heard of this, Manny, if you could pull this up for me, that Haitian people are invading the United States, and what are they
sign on anything you say can will be used against you in a court of law. You have right to an attorney, and a court one won't be appointed to you. State's expense. You have right to have that attorney present during any question. You have right to stop and once they begin. Do you understand your rights? Do you understand? Smile for me. Smile with your teeth. Go like this. Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it? Get in there. It's ridiculous.
That sounds like a mission to me. I don't know. So, Haitian people are coming here and they're eating our cats and dogs. So our vice president, J.D. Vance, has been trying to get this out and about. And here's what he had to say on that. In short, don't let the crybabies in the media dissuade you, fellow patriots. Keep the cat memes flowing. We are still in, what are we in, like phase 3 or 4 of the meme war? Our vice president is saying that we're going to fight them with memes, that we're going to keep our cats alive and keep them safe by making memes. what a time to be alive, everybody. You know, I went to Haiti about a decade ago, and I went into I made friends with this guy. I can't even remember his name now, but he invited me to dinner with his family in this little mud hut, and he had a dog. And I was asking him, what's your dog's name? And he's like, oh, Shay. I had very limited communication skills. I knew que sayer, which is what is this in his language. So that was like how I was able to build my vocabulary. And que sayer in English, dog. Oh, Shay. Like, is that his dog's name, or is that the word for dog? Turns out it's dinner. Shay is Creole for dinner. And, you know, I didn't realize that a decade later, we'd be in a war, being invaded by Haiti, and they're going to attack our cats and our dogs first. But I could have preemptive strike right there. I could have had first blood in this war. No one else would have known. I don't think that would have gotten any press coverage. I don't think if, American goes to Haiti on mission trip, eats small village dog, that probably doesn't make national news anywhere, but they come here and eat our cats. It's on the presidential debate. It's wild, dude. Absolutely wild. I almost caused the Haitian Pearl Harbor. Well, Haiti is a wild place, everybody. It was like we pretended that we were safe. We were in like a pretty small community, me and all my Protestant missionary friends. But just like on our road, we had a pretty big wall. There's just guys like walking up and down, holding machetes. My friend actually went and bought a machete from, I don't know, this warlord or whoever it was, guy selling machetes walking down the road. The crazy thing is, he was able to bring it back through customs. I have no idea how he did that. But that's absolutely wild. And you know, I think it's really important for us to keep up with what the kids are doing and make sure that we're not getting left behind. It's really easy to get left behind with technology moving so fast. So here's what the kids are getting into lately. This is called planking, everybody. And so he just lay down. Look at him. He's on a tree. Well, that's about all I got. I thank you guys for stopping by. Hopefully that wasn't a total train wreck. I just going to be kicking myself because I just really unorganized. You know, it's really I don't know, like half of in my head I had all the deliveries and stuff, and I was frantically trying to prepare for, like, that's why Manny saw me doing stuff, but yeah, just need to get more organized. That's all I know. You had the suits. What?
Oh, that was Manny's echo. Dude, what's going on with the echo? Oh, it's his echo. Okay. No, we're back to good. Sorry. No. He got it fixed. Okay. No, dude, that was awesome. And like, everything we do is all over the place and off the cuff.
I know I can do better. I know even like last time, I know I can do better. And it's just that it needs more work. It needs more refining. And that's, you know, thank you for helping me and pushing me to do it. But like, there's like 5 jokes, like one of the ones I thought were the best, that just like they have to be in a certain timing or whatever. And like, I'm reading, I'm like trying to read my notes while also doing it naturally. And I'm like, this is not organized.
Time out. First of all, it's really hard. It's really hard to do a comedy, especially when you can't see the audience is laughing. So like that in itself is like kudos to you, dude. So you wouldn't know that people are reacting, and people were reacting for sure, and more so than even last time. Not that last time was bad. I'm just saying there wasn't a huge improvement. So don't look at it that way. No, dude, this is hard. I don't think. I would say so. No, I mean I'm talking about your comfort level is improved.
Okay.
So first of all, if it
Yeah,
seems
I
like
would
I'm
say so. Yeah.
if it seems like I'm interrupting you, it's just because your latency is really, really bad. So just letting you know. So, but no, dude, that was awesome. I have a question about this planking thing though.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that for
Here,
real?
wait, I can do it again. So,
Like,
yeah, this is what the kids are getting into now. Look at them go.
What is
I actually
that?
did this. I think I was like, you just lay down on things. That's it. And you take a picture.
But why?
You never heard of that?
They do it because they're bored.
Oh, bored no
Yeah,
more.
they're bored no more, dude.
Dude, tell them to watch the show. They'll be bored no more, man. That's ridiculous, man.
You guys, people in the comment, what is that exactly? I mean, that is, I think, the point. It's the millennial, like, nihilism or depression. Like, it's you do it so people can say why. You go into the middle of public and you lay down on the floor. You go up, you climb on something, you lay down. That's it.
See, I used to do that because
it was like a trend.
I used to do weird stuff like that because it was fun, but like this is stupid. Like this is not the same kind of level of stupidity. No, like when I first met when I was first dating my wife, lady, whatever that situation's all about. I would we would be on a date, and this is like in the 90s before cameras and stuff like that. So Manny already knows the story because she would tell it all the time. I had just met her, and I would like do weird things like pretending to have a seizure in the middle of the mall. So I'd be like walking with her, and she wouldn't even know I would do it, and I would just fall on the floor pretending to have a seizure, and then just get up and walk away when other people like would, gather around us or whatever.
Energy. Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing, but like I was just better at being weird. Like that's not weird. You know what that reminds me of? That at least it's better than remember when they were like eating the Tide little cleaning thingies. Remember that?
Oh, that was probably like 5 years later.
Yeah. So that it seems like the same
video.
Kind of What's that?
That video I pulled up. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So this is what the kids are getting into lately. It's planking team, dude. This is a team of plankers. It said that.
That's crazy, man.
Anyway,
I'm pretty good at
like
planking, but I'm not doing. It's my like yes, bud. It's my like yes. So how is it? How are you now? Like trying to adjust with all the stuff at home. Like how's your humor fitting into all of that stuff? Because that must be hard. Not sleeping, new baby, all these responsibilities. Does your humor come into play?
Sometimes it can be easy to just be like tunnel vision or like putting the blinders on. Like, okay, I told you this situation like a week and a half ago or whenever it was. We just noticed this like wet spot on the carpet in the living room. And we're trying to figure it out. Like, there can't be a leak in the middle. I go into the crawl space, and in the vapor barrier, there's like some like looks like branches or something like coming out. I'm like, what the? Is there like something in the garden that's growing into the what? I start ripping at the vapor barrier. Giant rat nest. No rat, but it's just like covered in rat piss, and it's soaking up into the carpet, dude. So we were like, what is this? Why is it filmy? Rat piss. So that happened. And then to this morning, go take a shower. What the heck? What is this? It's a bunch of maggots. Why are there maggots in my shower?
What? Okay.
And then I was like, I'm looking a bunch of stuff up. Maybe there's something called like drain flies. Maybe they're like laying eggs inside of the drain. Okay, that and they're like, okay, they don't do anything bad. They're just annoying. And okay, that's not too bad. We like bleached it and put hot water down it, and they're more coming out. I noticed they're coming out from like the corner of the bottom of the shower, and they're like, I gotta pull the shower apart and try to figure out what's going on behind the prefab.
Yeah, there's probably something died under there, probably like one of those rats or something. Yeah. That's what it is. Oh, brother, I hear you.
Maybe the rat that died in my wall.
Yeah, it happens a lot, actually. It happens a lot. What was I going to say? I have a bunch more ideas, so I'm going to throw them at you soon. I like what you're doing. Yeah, do you like what you're doing?
I do. I just want to be better at it. I'm very frustrated for where I am to where I feel like I could be. And a lot of it's literally so much of it's just organization and just like putting the time in. Like I had all my notes and I was like trying to read them, and I was like going back and forth, like it's not where it should be. Where is it?
Well, have you ever gone on, like, as a musician, have you gone on stage to like open mics and stuff back in the day? You ever done that?
As a musician, like a handful of times. I mean, I was mostly in a band. I played by myself, like just me, a guitar, and singing, maybe 3-4 times.
Yeah, it's like that, man. It's tough. Like the first couple times you do it, you just have to keep doing it. And I honestly, your performances on both were not bad. You just think they're bad. You know what? You know what would be making a lot better? Your internet connection. Fix your internet connection, and everything is fine.
I don't know, dude. I've got my Ethernet cable in now, and I'm paying for like the best plan my local internet provider does. I don't know.
I'm just bugging you, man. I'm bugging you. Well, actually, no, that actually would make it a lot better. But no, honestly, you didn't do bad, like, at all. Like, stop thinking that you did. It's awesome. It's also really hard to do because you can't see our reactions laughing. Like, I don't know if you could see me on the bottom of the screen. I was legitimately laughing more than a couple times. That wasn't for anyone else. So that's hard to tell, right? Because you can't tell what the people's reaction is. Like, oh, is this funny or is it not funny? Because you can't see them laughing. But I could tell you in the chats, people were laughing.
Right.
People were laughing.
I could tell you like the delivery that was in my head was not the delivery happening, which I felt like before the last one. It was a lot closer to what was in my head.
Yeah, well, honestly, man, doing comedy without having an audience in front of you and comedy in general is one of the hardest things ever. Well, Manuel says it here: timing for the jokes provided by the Ethernet. That's what he said. Timing for the jokes provided by the Ethernet. I don't know what he means by that.
That's what I had people comment like my bad internet last time made it more funny, making fun of.
It did. It did, especially when it was all pixelated and you're showing us your backyard and stuff like that. That was awesome. That was awesome. All right, brother. I'm gonna definitely send you a couple more messages for some other ideas I have. Especially the one I mentioned with the news thing. That's pretty good. When I tell you who the other person is, you might be surprised. Pleasantly surprised.
You mentioned like doing some kind of improv. Is that something we're still doing, or are we saving that stuff for later?
No, we're not going to do that because of the fact that I didn't think to myself, oh, we have to actually time this better. So and then Manny and I were talking about it. He goes, we'll do it next time. So I'm going to send you that as well.
Okay. Oh my gosh, did I not even get did I do this part?
You go for it. You got something?
Do this thing? Did I do that thing? See, that's why I feel like I had like 5 jokes that I
go. You want to do them?
I knew it. I should have. Yeah, I'll do this one. Okay. There's a couple that like they were sequential of each other, and I like. See.
Go. Don't worry, man. Don't worry. Do it.
This CNN article recently. If you're white and you've posted a GIF or meme of a black person to express a strong emotion, you may be guilty of wearing digital blackface. And I think if anyone here knows me, my channel, my work, you know how much of a tricky situation this is for me. If I get, I mean, really, I want to point people to Christ, people to the Orthodox Church. I want to make people laugh. I want to entertain. I want to, challenge myself, my abilities, progress, challenge my thinking, have interesting conversations. But more than that, I just want someone to call me a racial slur. That's all I want, really. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I've longed for since my first day at public school in 5th grade, when I met other black people. And I was the only one that didn't look black. And I saw them being called all these horrible names. And I had to look at the kid in the camo jacket and say, I'm right next to all my black friends. And I'm like, what about me? He's like, you come over here and yell at them with me. I'm like, no. So I've always felt alienated from the black community because they don't know how tough it is to be around the racism, but not have it directed at you, and feeling so alone in that. So the worst thing that could happen, and this is me being vulnerable right now, you guys. The worst thing that could happen to me in my channel, I don't know if I'd probably quit. If somebody you can say I look like Owen Benjamin. You can say I look like Owen Benjamin. You know, I brought up, you know, I won't say it because you said it's a no word for the algorithm and stuff. But
you do look like
unaliving
Owen
yourself. I brought up, Bowen Benjamin, and you said don't say the word. So I brought up statistics about unaliving yourself, you know, implying that really hurt my feelings. And Mark Zuckerberg, anyone else listening, I have not been, nor have I ever felt the desire to end my own life. But you can call me Owen Benjamin, but do not say that I'm wearing digital blackface.
Did he just jump off? Did he just do that? Did he just jump off?
Yeah, just failed.
Oh, my dear friend Wes, always love you like crazy, little buddy. I feel like Mr. Westford's like my little brother. That's what I feel like. I feel like he's my little brother. I guess the age difference is yeah, he could be a little brother. He could be a little brother for sure, right? I'm not that old. All right, my dear friends. I have now gone to the bathroom a couple times. I hope I don't have to go to the bathroom again. But if I do, Manuel got me. Well, he'll cover me. Just like Mr. Westford mentioned, any of the tips or donations we get, we're going to be splitting it with all our amazing Bored No More guests that have been on this stream today. He says Mr. Westford says his brother is 36 and 37, and my brother's 36 and 37. Well, how old do you guys think I am? I guess you guys should know. If I've mentioned it a couple times. I've mentioned it a couple times on the streams, so maybe people do know how old I am. I am older than your older brother, for sure. How old do you guys think I am in the chats? And if you already know, that's great. If you don't, take a guess. Manny, where are the credits? Oh, you already did the credits. We did the credits already, right? You have any slammaroos to throw in there while I get ready for I don't know what we're gonna do. Are we gonna do an SOS radio? Are we gonna do a Jabberfest? Are we gonna do a combo? Both and. We called it both and. Mano, born in the early 80s is my guess. Here we go. Brody's got, let's see. Boom. Someone already knows. Somebody already knows. Boom. I'm gonna delete that just because I don't want anyone to guess. Let's see. Any more guesses? Don't worry, sister. I'll throw up your comment in a second. I just took it down to see if anybody has any guesses. Anybody guess? Brody guessed early 80s. Anyone else got any guess? What's Manny laughing at? My saint name is it. It is 79. Mr. Slash says 79. All right. We'll let the guesses keep rolling. We'll let the guesses keep rolling. So far, I like all the. What's up, Manny?
Oh, I was gonna say, I can play something while everyone's guessing.
Here we go, another guess. He could play something. Yeah, play a couple things, and then we're gonna throw in the intro. So we have 44, 79, born in 79, which would make me. I don't know what that makes me. Something. Then someone guessed early 80s. I'll take that. What is someone born in 82? How old are they? How old is someone born in 82? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Manny, throw the thing, I guess, up there or whatever we're doing. Do that, whatever you got to do. And I'm going to set up for the Bored No Mores. What's happening, man? What's happening? What's happening?
Bored No More.
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening? This is the Bored No More Network. Bored No More. What's happening?
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Bored No More Network. Stick around and enjoy the ride. We'll be here for a bit.